Sitting at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has provided context on the arrest of crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo as he fights to have his bail conditions relaxed so he can return back to work. Khumalo and 6 others were arrested in July by members of Independent Directorate Against Corruption on charges of fraud and corruption. This relates to the appointment of Dineo Mokoele into a senior position within crime intelligence without having any previous policing experience. Mkhwanazi is testifying on day 2 of the Madlanga inquiry in Pretoria this afternoon. Oren Singh is there and joins us live. Oren, what has Mkhwanazi said in relation to Khumalo? Oren?
And Paula Barnard abused their powers in interfering in matters relating to crime intelligence. He's suggesting that Adams, who registered 3 cases against Dumisani Khumalo, fraud and corruption cases in Cape Town and Soweto, was a result of him being privy to secret information, and that he abused his powers of being an MP to get hold of this info. Mkhwanazi says the rest of Khumalo saw the work of the Political Killings Task Team, who were assisting counterintelligence units in Gauteng, come to a halt.
The arrest of Gerald Khumalo. When this arrest happens, it literally means this project must stop. This investigation of this organized crime must stop immediately because the people are arrested.
As we know, Marky, Khumalo is arrested alongside 6 other crime intelligence officers. Reporting from Pretoria.
We move to the south of Johannesburg, where police have opened a case of murder following the assassination of Gauteng chairperson of the National Taxi Alliance. 58-year-old Thamsanqa Moyo was gunned down earlier today while traveling along the Soweto highway. Police say the motive for the incident is unknown at this stage, but have not ruled out taxi industry-related violence. Thando Luhle is in Soweto.
Police say chairperson of the Gauteng National Taxi Alliance, Thamsanqa Moyo, was traveling alone when his car was blocked by a minibus taxi and a small car along the busy highway in Soweto. It's understood that the armed suspects proceeded to open fire at Moyo's silver grey Toyota Bakkie. Police spokesperson Mavela Masondo.
The suspects then fired several shots towards the victim.
He says the number of suspects has not yet been determined and a manhunt is underway. Officers have cleared the scene and have loaded his car riddled with bullet holes to be taken in for further forensic investigation. Thando Luhle, Eyewitness News.
Westbury residents say they hope Joburg Mayor Dada Morero has a good explanation about why water supply to the area has not been fully restored. Exactly a week ago, Morero and Joburg Water promised protesting residents that water supply would be restored within a week. Morero is set to return to the area today to give residents an update. Jabulile Mbata has more.
When Joburg Water promised to get that water supply up and running in a week, they said they would reduce supply in other areas to supplement supply for the Westbury and Coronationville. The water utility also promised to repair leaks and deploy water tankers in the affected areas in the interim. However, Westbury residents says there's been no change. Another resident, Saini Fanzel, admits that he had water trickling from his tap this morning, but it hasn't been enough.
They just feel that they've been duped and they've been lied to, they've been deceived and they've been let down. So what we need to understand is that we are not going to say, we're sorry that you have a problem, Mr. Mayor. Don't make your problem our problem.
He says he is waiting anxiously to hear why the interventions by the mayor hasn't worked. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Westbury.
And Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen believes the United States' new trade tariffs will threaten global food security. Steenhuisen is hosting the G20 Agriculture Working Group and Food Security Task Force ministerial meetings currently underway in Somerset West. Speaking on the sidelines, Steenhuisen said he expects climate change and sustainable development matters to be the greatest sticking points in reaching consensus. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Minister John Steenhuisen says food insecurity and malnutrition remain priority concerns for his department. Added to this is the impact of climate change in addressing these concerns.
It's the single biggest threat to agriculture, and climate volatility affects smallholder farmers and subsistence farmers the most.
While trade tariffs are not specifically up for discussion at these meetings, Steenhuisen says discussions about farming for the future cannot ignore the impact of tariffs. He believes government has put a broad and generous offer to the US in efforts to drive down the 30% tariff imposed by Washington.
I think we're seeing tariffs moving beyond just trade towards a bent of geopolitics. And I think that is going to fundamentally change the way in which the trade infrastructure works across the globe.
Steenhuisen says the shift in global trade relations is going to cast the spotlight on the role of the World Trade Organization. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Gold's trading at $3,667.08 an ounce. The rand's at 17.37 to the dollar, at 23.62 to the pound, at 20.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $68.34 a barrel.
Boksburg, we still have those roadworks. This is on the N17 westbound, slowing down traffic between Carnival City and Rondebold. Also look out for those faulty traffic lights. Edenville, Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck, as well as in Sunninghill at Witkoppen and Achter.
In your sport, Sinesipho Dambile runs personal best to qualify for the World Championships 200-meter final. Mbegezeli Mbogazi and Chandray Campbell to miss the Under-20 FIFA World Cup. And Miguel Cardoso keen to bolster Mamelodi Sundowns' attack after Lucas Ribeiro's exit.
A look at your weather. It's clear skies in Gauteng this afternoon. Temperatures are peaking at alternating highs of 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. An attempt by the Umkhonto weSizwe Party to halt the Madlanga inquiry has failed in the Pretoria High Court.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Thursday, the 18th of September. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry won't be stopped by court action, at least not for now. As you heard a moment ago, the bid by the MK party to achieve that has failed. And General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi won't be done with his evidence anytime soon, as he continues to add detail to his broad allegations from July. More on both of those stories in a moment. Khumotso Modise was in the court in Pretoria, and Alpha Ramoshwana is at the Bridget Mabandla College of Justice, where the commission proceedings are underway. Some other stories we're covering. South African shoppers, a recent study shows, are increasingly turning to spaza shops and small superettes for the goods they need. The swing is substantial, with the small players growing 3 times faster than the big ones. What's behind this? Gigi Alcock, who is a keen-eyed analyst of the Township economy, joins us for that after 4. Dada Morero is on his way to Westbury. We'll find out a little bit more about that when we cross to our reporter Jabulile Mbata. That's coming up sometime after 4. And fences make good neighbors, the saying goes. But could the wall you put up get you into some serious legal difficulties? More on that in our weekly feature, Your House, Your Home. The World Athletics Championships. This is a big moment, and we're going to cover this as well as we possibly can for you. Runners are lining up for the 400-meter men's 400-meter final. 3 of them are from Botswana, and one of them is our very own Zakiti Nene. So as soon as the runners are ready to go, we'll give that to you live. Really looking forward to it. We don't have a medal yet, but Zakiti qualified with one of the fastest times in qualifying. So we'll bring you that as well. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news and news from the roads, of course, in our regular traffic updates, the latest as well from the markets. On the JSE, I'm sure there's some response forthcoming to the fact that interest rates have been left unchanged. Your response of great interest to us as well on 072 702 1702. But speaking of the JSE, the All Share is heading in the direction of 106,000 points. Not quite there yet on 105,830, but still up by 450 points. Platinum stocks are strong today with Valterra up by 4.9, Northam by 3.7, and Implats by 3.3. Aluminium company Hulamin is having a stellar day, up by 9.5%, and Caxton is up by 6.6. The rand 17.35 against the dollar. 20.47 will get you a euro. A pound will cost 23.61. Oil down by 37 cents today, currently at $68.27 a barrel. Moteo Juaripe joins us with all the details at 4:25. So the runners are ready. Let's go to Tokyo.
Anton Moncho won the women's gold in the 400 metres. But could the likes of Kebina Chippy, Epe and Dori from Botswana potentially win their first ever gold medal? Wade van Niekerk, golds in 2017 and 2015. Takiti Nene has been in great form this year. Could he back up those titles from his nation? The men's 400-metre final is away. Dream Richards, Shakori Patterson, perhaps the athletes with the most decorated CVs find themselves on the inside. It's a lightning quick start from Kebina Chippy of Botswana in the middle of your screens with the arm sleeve on. Kebina Chippy eating up the ground on McDonald, but Nene is absolutely flying through the first half here. The South African perhaps trying to hold off Kebina Chippy here. The graphic gives it to Kebina Chippy and Patterson in lane 3. The stagger will unwind, and what will be the order at the moment? 80 metres to go. Kebina Chippy to the fore. Jareen Richards driving in lane 2. Kebina Chippy, can he turn it into a gold medal for Botswana? Kebina Chippy becomes the first ever champion for Botswana at the World Athletics Championships. 43.53, a new world lead. Jareen Richards.
So for the first half of the race, we thought that might be South Africa's first gold medal. Zakiti Nene off to a great start. But how wonderful. Botswana had 3 runners in that World 400 metres final. Busang, Colin, Kebina Chippy winning Botswana gold in that event. And of course, there's more potentially to come for our neighbours as they have strong contestation in the 200 metres with Letsie Tebogo, that coming up in, I think, tomorrow or the day after. Well, we thought we'd give it a try. We hope that if we were all pulling from the 702 studio, we might get a gold medal, but it does not always work that way. But what we do have is some news about interest rates. They haven't gone up, they haven't gone down, they've stayed the same. Reserve Bank Governor Lesicha Kganyago at that announcement. And Moteo Juaripe is in just to briefly tell us why the decision and what it all means. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. It all came down to preference. The governor saying, that it was a 4-2 split. 4 members wanted to hold, 2 wanted to cut by 25 basis points, and I wish they'd won today, but they didn't. So we still have a prime lending rate of 10.5% and a repo rate of 7%. The SARB saying they are quite impressed with the GDP number. Yes, it's still on the lower side, but they've adjusted their growth for South Africa's growth this year for GDP to 1.2%. This was from 0.9%. What that means for consumers, that we'll have to hold on for a bit longer in terms of our repayments, whether it is a car, a bond, or maybe some money that you've borrowed from the bank. You'll have to continue paying for that budget. So it's something that's it's not really too bad. I'm hoping for another cut probably in November. But I think what the SARB is doing is that they've now focused on that 3% target. And if inflation points towards that direction, then you'll start seeing that cut. But in the past year, they've cut about 125 basis points. I don't think we can complain too much, although interest rates have been quite high in the country. And they're also saying what they're wary about is the price of electricity in the country with that NERSA adjustment that now pushes up the price up by more than 8%. So that's saying that's another administrative failure that's hurting our pockets as South Africans.
Yeah, thank you very much, Muteo. Maybe you've got some thoughts on that. By the way, just on that men's 400 meters, Busang Kebinachipi from Botswana coming up with gold, but I didn't mention coming up with bronze, his countryman, Bayapo Ndori. So anyone listening from Gaborone or from Maun or Francistown or anywhere else in Botswana, or maybe you're from that country but living somewhere in South Africa, give us a call and tell us. I mean, Botswana's growing prominence on the track in athletics is something fabulous. I wonder if there's stuff that we might learn from that. Sakiti Nene, by the way, finishing 5th after looking like he might be in the medals in the first part of the race. Enjoyed that. 17 minutes past 3. Let's get the latest traffic news. Charlie, presumably nobody's sprinting home, but people slowly making their way from point A to point B. How they're doing?
Afternoon, John. Yes, in Boksburg, we still have those roadworks causing some delays on the N17 westbound between Carnival City and Rondebold. That's leaving Brakpan heading towards Germiston. Also in Pimville, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Chris Hani Road, between Chris Hani Road opposite Maponya Mall. Otherwise, I must say the rest of 702 land not looking too bad. No serious accidents have been reported at this hour. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Randburg at Witkoppen and Newmarket. Traffic lights also not working in Linksfield at Linksfield Road and the N3. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. One of the criticisms that have been leveled against the KZN Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Madlanga was not going through the normal protocols.
To those that don't call him a whistleblower and call him a maverick or somebody who didn't follow protocol, well, damn them. This man has done something that was long, long overdue. If we were a failed state, if the capture of the states had been such that our police had been totally decimated, we wouldn't be in this position.
Chad Thomas, a crime expert. Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns this weekend at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. Getting there is easy. Take the Gautrain to Midrand Station and hop on the free shuttle to the festival. Shuttles run all day, with the last leaving at 11 p.m. Saturday and 10 p.m. Sunday. Gautrain will also run extended late-night services to get you home safely. Standard fares and rules apply.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Let's rewind 6 years, when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Ohino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
Spring is sprung. The grass is riz. It's now time to get stuck into your garden. So get to Chamberlain Gardening Centres for our spring promotion from 4 August to 12 October. Get ceiling trays at R29.90 or Colterra compost at R24.90. And don't miss a chance to win your share of R90,000 in gift vouchers every Saturday during the promotion. Chamberlain, famous for hardware and gardening since 1903.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. It's 21 minutes past 3. That athletic snippet that we shared with you, by the way, courtesy of the terrific coverage of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo that you can pick up on Supersport, currently on channel 208. Right, let's go now to the Madlanga Commission, day 2. Alpha Ramushwana, part of the EWN team, covering this really important and landmark event. Alpha, very good afternoon to you. Needless to say, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is still the man on whom all eyes are fixed, and he's been busy giving evidence throughout the day so far. What in particular has he said that's really stood out for you? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. So one of the things that this Commission of Inquiry seeks to do is to investigate specifically political interference in the criminal justice system. And we didn't really get a sense of any of that yesterday. And today we're starting to see that picking up. And today, Ntanta Mkhwanazi, the Police Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, spoke about some of the alleged political interference in the criminal justice system. 2 members of parliament were named today during the proceedings. One of them is from the National Colored Congress, and the other one is from the Democratic Alliance. The one from the Democratic Alliance is Diane Kola, who allegedly, according to Mkhwanazi, had access to classified state and intelligence information and went public with it. I remember in June, she released a media statement on behalf of the DA revealing some classified information about investigations by criminal intelligence. And Mkhwanazi spoke about that today and saying that because she's a member of Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, she doesn't have the right to go public with information that is discussed behind closed doors. And Mkhwanazi says by releasing that media statement, the DA MP effectively undermined state intelligence and released information that wasn't meant for public consumption. And she says that the risk with this is that it risks members of the public knowing state secrets. It risks members of the intelligence as well defending themselves by divulging state secrets. The second MP that I mentioned is Fidel Adams, who's the leader of the National Colored Congress, and he's a member of the Portfolio Committee on Police, and they don't have access to state information and intelligence information. And he managed to get access to intelligence information, according to Mkhwanazi, and also went public with it. Now, the difference between the two is that Adams doesn't serve on the Intelligence Committee, and he wouldn't have had information himself. He would have gotten the information from somewhere.
Right.
Mkhwanazi is questioning today that how does a person who doesn't serve on the Intelligence Standing Committee have access to intelligence information, and what makes them think that they can go public with it? So we're beginning to see the political interference that he was referring to. At this stage, only 2 MPs have been mentioned, which is a DA MP and an NCC MP.
So, I mean, briefly, if you can, Alfred, did he give any idea of what he believed their motive might be? Because obviously the information they released would have been pretty specific. Otherwise, I don't think he would be raising it. But did he go further and say, well, they did it to achieve this purpose or that?
When it comes to the DA's MP, Diane Kola Bernard, he didn't really touch on her that much. It wasn't in detail. He just gave us a few snippets, if I may say,
yes,
of the alleged political interference with police work and intelligence work. But when it comes to the leader of the National Colored Congress, Mr. Adams, it seems those two don't really get along, because you would remember that a few weeks ago in Parliament, Adams was telling MPs and telling Parliament that Mkhwanazi is being praised for nothing, and that Mkhwanazi should have never held that media briefing to make those explosive allegations. And Mkhwanazi today responded to that and said that Mr. Adams has skeletons of his own, and also revealing that Adams himself has access to intelligence information. He didn't specifically mention why exactly they decided to divulge that information. But between Adams and Mkhwanazi, those two historically never saw eye to eye. So maybe that might be the reason Mkhwanazi chose to include him today.
Alpha Ramashwana, thank you. Well, the matter is proceeding at the Madlanga Commission later in the day. Our other reporter watching developments, Oren Singh, joining us with his take on day 2. 702 Drive, it's 26 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Okay, so related to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, earlier today, the MK Party and its leader, former President Jacob Zuma, were in court on an urgent basis, trying to stop the Madlanga Commission. They put that issue before the court, and a decision was reached that this was not urgent. I'm not sure what else was in the wording of the decision, which might indicate whether it might come back to the court. But let's get the inside track. Khumotso Modise, EWN reporter, has been in court today. Khumotso, very good afternoon to you. Spell out for us exactly what the court said. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Well, the court found that this matter is so important that it cannot be rushed on the urgent court roll. You remember that Advocate Dali Mpofu, on behalf of the MK Party, had argued that it was of grave importance that the matter be heard right now. And he said that was because the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry had already started, and he said that commission is actually unconstitutional. However, the court disagrees with him. The court agrees with the president's lawyers, or with the president, who had argued that the horse has already bolted. They say that the commission has already started, and the minister Senzo Mchunu is already on special leave, and his replacement, Feroz Kachalia, is already in office. There's absolutely no reason to rush this. One of the arguments that had been made in court today, John, was the fact that it's no longer urgent now. The matter is no longer urgent now because all of the steps that the MK Party was so desperate to stop when they approached the Constitutional Court in July have already taken place. And so the court says there is redress. If it is found that the president acted unlawfully, then the MK Party and President Jacob Zuma can approach the courts for redress. However, the court says there's no reason to stop this commission of inquiry because at least something is being done to address the allegations that have been made by Lieutenant General Ndandla Mkhwanazi.
And so any response from the MK Party or its lawyers afterwards? Have they indicated what they plan to do next?
Not yet, John. Of course, the lawyers cannot speak. Advocate Dali Mpofu should not be speaking, although we know that he usually does. But the advocates would not address us. They wouldn't speak to us. But I'm sure the MK Party will be responding to this. Previously, what we've seen before, when the Constitutional Court denied them direct access, they came out to say that they would be exhausting all their steps. And we saw them previously writing to the president, demanding answers to 15 questions that they had about the process. I do think that they will be considering their options in this instance to see if they can do, more now that this judgment has come out.
Thanks very much. Khumotso Modise is out at the courts in Pretoria. This in regard to the urgent application, unsuccessful by the MK Party, looking at whether they can stop the Madlanga Commission, even though it's already gone underway. That has been unsuccessful. So, you're listening to 702 Drive. I'm very interested to know, by the way, repo rate, does it affect in any way, shape or form the way in which you're going to go about your spending, the way you're going to go about running your household finances, or is the picture in many ways not substantially affected by whatever the Reserve Bank Governor Lisicha Kganyago and the MPC have decided today? Give me a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Still to come on a 702 Drive, we're going to be going out to the community of Westbury. You did hear a moment ago from Jabulile Mbata, our EWN reporter. I suspect she's got more to say in the news bulletin coming up shortly. But she's been chatting to residents, keeping an eye on what's happening with water supply. And obviously, as soon as the executive mayor is engaging with the community, we're going to be hearing exactly what he has to say. It's 3:30. Repo rate decision made, that and all the rest of the news. Maki Molapo, good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. We begin with breaking news. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has voted to keep the repo rate unchanged at 7% following this week's meeting. This is the first pause since July, in line with some market expectations. The central bank's 6-member MPC announced the latest decision today. Despite a good quarter with better than expected GDP growth and a resilient global economy, inflation expectations are likely to remain above the central bank's new preferred inflation target of 3% for the year. Reserve Bank Governor Lisicha Kganyago.
Overall, we expect headline inflation to average 3.4% this year and 3.6% next year before reverting to 3% during 2027. We assess the risks to the inflation outlook as balanced. Against this backdrop, the MPC decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 7%.
He says 4 members voted in favour to hold rates, while 2 others voted for a 25 basis point cut. The prime lending stands at 10.5%.
The reasoning of 2 members on why the rates should be cut is the same as the reasoning of the 4 members who felt that the rates must be kept the same. As you heard, we expressed preferences. And we deliberate, and eventually the decision was that we keep the rates the same.
We move to the capital. DA Member of Parliament Diane Kohler-Bernard is the second MP to be implicated in the Commission of Inquiry into Political Interference within the criminal justice system. Testifying at the Commission in Pretoria today, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi criticised Bernard for disclosing classified intelligence. Although she serves on Parliament's Joint Committee for Intelligence, its members are prohibited from making classified information public. In June, Bernard issued a DA media statement revealing that the Inspector General of Intelligence had completed a probe into alleged unlawful property acquisitions. Mkhwanazi has argued before the inquiry this afternoon that by releasing classified details, Kohler-Bernard has undermined state intelligence.
The proverbial horse has indeed bolted. The Madlanga Commission commenced with its work yesterday. Mr. Machuna was placed on leave of absence, and Acting Minister Kashalia was appointed and has assumed office. We therefore conclude that the matter is not urgent.
For live updates on the Commission, visit ewn.co.za or watch live proceedings on our YouTube channel. In the south of Johannesburg, Gauteng police have launched a manhunt after Taxi Association chairperson Thamsanqa Moyo was fatally shot in Diepkloof in Soweto today. According to police, the 58-year-old was attacked around 9:30 this morning on the Soweto highway when his vehicle was blocked by 2 cars. Suspects then opened fire, fatally wounding him. Moyo was certified dead at the scene. Police say the motive for the killing has not been confirmed, but taxi violence is being probed as a possibility. Police spokesperson Mavela Masondo is urging anyone with information to come forward.
Police are appealing to anyone who might have information that can help in the investigation or assist in the apprehension of the suspects to please call the nearest police station or call Crime Stop on 08600 10111.
More than 42,000 social grant beneficiaries have completed their biometric enrollment as required by the South African Social Security Agency. SASSA has been implementing security measures on its systems to safeguard it from fraudulent applications. The grant verification rollout process began at the beginning of this month. In a statement released today, SASSA CEO Themba Matlowu assured beneficiaries that they will be proactive in dealing with any challenges while they implement this new system. The agency's spokesperson Andile Chona.
He told the committee that more than 42,000 clients have been enrolled and verified in 432 SASSA local offices across the country. Matlowu emphasized that these include new applicants, beneficiaries undergoing reviews, and those coming to SASSA local offices to change their personal details.
And in the U.S., some politicians, media figures and free speech organizations have expressed anger and alarm at the suspension of late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel. They've warned that critics of Donald Trump were being systematically silenced. Kimmel has been taken off air indefinitely over comments he made about Charlie Kirk's shooting.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. You can see how hard the president is taking this. Yes. He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction.
Kirk was shot and killed during an address at Utah Valley University last week. A look at your weather. It's clear skies in Gauteng this afternoon. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 27 and 28 degrees.
Boksburg roadworks causing delays on the N17 westbound between Carnival City and Rondebolt. Also leaving Sandton. Traffic sluggish on Catherine Street between West and Greyston Drive.
That breaking top story in Eyewitness News. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has voted to keep the repo rate unchanged at 7% following this week's meeting.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What is the bar for General Mkhwanazi in this case?
It's unlikely that it would be defamatory. The witness can pretty much say what he or she wants, but the job of the commission is to interrogate to see whether it's truthful or not. And that involves not only, as in a court of law, allowing the implicated party to come and give her or his version of the story.
Advocate Carol Steinberg, SC.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Naked people always get dessert. Because naked people spend less money on insurance premiums, they've got more money for Mulva pudding. Or cheesecake. Or both? With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds. And because it's all online, it also costs less. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start treating yourself like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses, and coughs. It's time to live, work, play, and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetisid, Levogex, and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
EWN Sport.
At 22 minutes to 4, let's get the very latest sports news. Tolakele Mganga's eyes on Tokyo, I believe. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And we do start at the World Athletics Championships. That's where Sinosipho Dambile ran a personal best 19.97 seconds to finish third in his semi-final and qualify for tomorrow's men's 200-meter final. Noah Lyles ran a world lead of 19.51 seconds to win that same race, while Wade van Niekerk missed out on the final after running 20.12 seconds. In the 800 meters, world indoor champion Prudence Shegorisho didn't finish due to an injury. Switching over to football, where Raymond Daka has announced his 21-man squad for the Under-20 FIFA World Cup, but there's no place for Mbegezeli Mbogazi and Chandray Campbell. The tournament falls outside of a FIFA calendar, so clubs aren't obliged to release their players. Without them, Amajita will play group games against France, the United States of America, and New Caledonia. Over to the Betway Premiership, where Mamelodi Sundowns missed out on a chance to reclaim top spot. That's after they played out a 1-1 draw with Marumo Gallants. With the transfer window closing next week, Miguel Cardoso says the Brazilians will be signing a striker as they seek to replace Lucas Ribeiro Costa.
The team needs extra energy in the front, extra quality. We lost important resources from last year. Only one name, but his name has a lot of impact in the team, and it's clear that we are still trying to find the right connections in order to develop collectively the capacity to arrive there. We believe so much in our players, but some of them are very young and they cannot cope with the responsibility to carry a team like Mamelodi Sundowns that needs to win every match.
In the UEFA Champions League, there were selected wins for Bayern Munich, PSG and Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk scored the winner for Arne Slot's Reds as they claimed a 3-2 win over Atletico Madrid.
Now, if you want to beat a team like Atletico, which is known and has an unbelievable mentality, you have to beat them with their weapon as well, and that is mentality. And I think that's what we showed again today. But I think we should have made it easier for ourselves. At 2-0 first half, we got more than a few chances to make the third. At 2-1 second half, we hit the post. We were so close a few times.
And fly half James O'Connor has been retained in Australia's squad for the back-to-back rugby championship test against New Zealand. That's despite flying to England on Monday to join his new club Leicester. Prop James Slipper is in line to become just the third player to rack up 150 tests. That's if he plays in either of the two matches. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's find out what's happening out on the roads at 20 to 4. It's starting to get busy. Karabo Chale with an update.
Well, I must say, John, things not looking too bad at this stage. No serious accidents have been reported on our highways. However, we still have slow-moving traffic. That's in the Boksburg area due to roadworks on the N17 westbound between Carnival City and Rondebold. If you are leaving the Sandton area, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's on Greyston Drive from Rivonia Road all the way to Catherine Street. If you are in the Edenville area, look out for those faulty traffic lights. Motor Fontaine Road and Van Riebeck. Traffic lights also not working in Randburg at Witkoppen and Newmarket. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. It's coming up now for 19 minutes to 4. Yeah. So we had a very interesting thing that we were chatting about a little bit earlier about how, well, let me give you a specific example of my own. If I've written to family members or close friends or to my wife or whatever, 4 or 5 emails, I'll end up by saying love, signing off, love John or love or whatever it might be. And then suddenly I'm doing a business email, and every once in a while I have ended up saying, oops, hang on. And I don't think I've ever hit send before I've actually picked it up. When you sending something to your bank manager asking for a loan or whatever, love is probably not the right way to sign that off. But Kabazela, good afternoon. You've got a really interesting example of somebody who did that not in an email, but at the end of a phone call.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. It was a LinkedIn post that I came across, and it basically accidentally said, I love you at the end of a call with an important client yesterday. I heard him giggle as I hung up, and I was mortified. Today I saw he emailed me this, and the guy wrote her this email. Sorry, I'm just making it a little bit bigger on my phone here, and he says, hi, just wanted to say that I didn't mean to laugh at you when you accidentally signed off on the call with I love you. I just found it to be funny. I've definitely done that before, and I know it happens. I'm glad to have you in... What was he saying? I'm sorry, let me just make it, yeah? I'm glad you have enough love in your life that the response comes naturally. If anything, you should be proud of that. Have a great weekend, and we'll follow up on the call next week, Tuesday. From Chris.
Classy Chris.
So that was quite nice that he responded to her and had a bit of a giggle, because she must have been, like she says, quite mortified after saying I love you. But I mean, that can happen because, if you are maybe in that kind of a family where you speak to your mother, father, siblings, and, if you see each other in person or if you speak to each other on the phone, sometimes just automatically you'll say, okay, love you, bye.
Yes,
It just comes, it rolls off the tongue, right? But you still mean it, but it's always something that you say to each other.
Yeah.
It can so happen easily when you're speaking to a colleague or a business associate or a stranger even, right?
Yeah. No, and you get into those grooves. Tolakele, ever happened to you?
Not in the I love you slip, but sometimes when I'm having like a conversation with someone, I kind of forget that some conversations are professional, so I can't use some of like the phrases I use with a friend. So when they make a good point, I'm like, girl, yes. And sometimes it's a man.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that in the way it came out. But because I agree with the points, that's always like my go-to standard. So I always have to be like, I mean it in a non-gendered term.
So I had a guy who was trying to, in fact, we were doing an insurance thing over the phone, and he kept saying, so what's your first name, my guy? So I said, and this went on for a while, and I said, sorry, what did you call me? He said, so my guy. So I said, I mean, I don't really mind, but, maybe not. He said, okay, sorry about that. He said, but can we carry on? Yes, we can. He said, so what's your address, my guy? Anyway, it was very strange. He was absolutely pleasant, but it was a bit strange to have my guy in a business conversation. Karabo Charlie, have you ever slipped or been with someone who slipped?
Yeah, not in a phone call, but with the email. I remember when I started here at EWN, I applied for the job and I got accepted. So I got an acceptance letter, and then they were like, so do you accept this job?
Yes.
And I typed quickly, and it was a typo. And I said, instead of said, I'll definitely take it, I said, I'll defiantly take it.
How did that work out?
It was a big joke. Katie Kitaporos, who was the boss then, took it very lightly, and she made fun of it. And every time she sees me, she still makes fun of me.
The defiant Karabo Chale. So slip-ups when you're in one groove, talking to people you're close to, either being informal or actually being, very, very affectionate when it's probably not the appropriate thing to do. Call us with your story. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 14 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, at this time, 702 is in conversation with Isanti Glass, unpacking how they are redefining glass manufacturing with sustainability and excellence while making a real impact in communities. From the bottles on our tables to the glass that's recycled and reborn, the story of glass is also the story of sustainability. And at the center of this story in South Africa is Isanti Glass, a proudly local company driving innovation, empowering industries, and proving that sustainability can shine. Joining us today is Peter du Plessis, who is CEO of Isanti Glass, to talk about how they're redefining glass manufacturing and making a lasting impact in our communities. Peter du Plessis, a very good afternoon to you and welcome. You've been going for 5 years and you're marking this with a campaign that you call It's in Our Hands. What's that all about? Good day to you.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to all the listeners. The campaign It's in Our Hands is really firstly a reminder of our responsibility collectively, to shape a better future for everyone. And it's a call to action, to consumers, brand owners, to make responsible choices. We understand that sustainability is front of mind. It's really important for a lot of people, and we believe that it is the future. So, it's in our hand. It's really, like I said, a call to action for all of us to remember that the decisions we make and the actions we take, those choices are in our hands, and we need to do, decisive and conscious decision making when we look at the decisions we make.
Over the 5 years, I would have thought glass manufacturing, I'm thinking energy, for example, and possibly inconsistent water supply, but manufacturing of glass, fairly energy intensive, I would think, although I don't know a great deal about it. But how hard have the last 5 been?
It's been challenging times, John. I mean, Isanti started in April 2020. We were right in the middle of a global pandemic. So, apart from having all of those challenges, we also have, as a manufacturing industry, Isanti is not unique. We still have, industrial sort of infrastructure. And as you mentioned, that requires stable energy, road transport, water supply. So it's really been a challenging time. So 5 years for us is a good milestone. It's a celebration of, not only, surviving, but more importantly, moving forward, growing, transforming the industry, and a testament to the character and strength of our people and what we can do. So it's really a big milestone for us. And yes, it's a challenging operating environment, and that's why, how we approach it and being aware of the decisions we make is really important.
Just keen and interested to know, I mean, there were glass companies before you, doubtless others may follow and come into the industry. But why do you think you're different? What makes Isanti stand out, do you think?
So Isanti is proudly one of 2 glass container manufacturers in South Africa. And what makes us unique and what we believe makes us stand out is that we, sort of proudly South African, we Black owned, level 1 BEE. And I think, in our environment, that's quite a unique factor. But more importantly, I think it's also about our purpose, not only making a difference from a sustainability perspective, providing the best possible packaging to our customers and to consumers, but more importantly, also the impact we make in the community we operate, and how we also make sure we transform not only our industry, where we believe we are leading, but also from a transformation perspective, make a real impact in the lives of the people that work at Isanti and the community in which we operate and which we are part of.
Talk a little bit about, Peter du Plessis, that community work. You talk about partnerships, you talk about your involvement in education, but perhaps some details.
Yeah, sure. So we're quite closely involved with the schools in our area. We're passionate about, education. We believe it's a powerful tool to improve and drive transformation, I think, beyond, in future years. So we've partnered with the schools most lately and recently in a campaign to provide opportunities for increased glass recycling. We're passionate about recycling and reuse as part of our sustainability initiatives. And happy to see amazing participation from some schools, local schools in our area. And, more than that, we also partner with them in terms of our annual Take a Girl Child to Work Day, our annual Take a Boy Child to Work Day. And in a broader sense, with community welfare centers, etc., we are closely working with them, looking at where we can find opportunities to support them and grow a community that's involved and sort of not only wherein we operate, but where we're really a part of our community.
In terms, let's get back to your core business and the manufacturing that you do. I mean, some people see glass as in many ways a premium packaging choice. Is that an obstacle? I don't know if it has price implications, the cost difference between, for example, a drink in a bottle versus a drink in another kind of packaging. Is that an obstacle, and is this something that can come down the cost curve if it is?
So glass, John, is definitely, perceived at least to be a premium packaging. We do believe we have the best packaging solution, for our brands and our customers. And I think, there's some attachment of glass to premium products. But ultimately, we believe that glass is really the safest and in the long term, the most sustainable packaging option that is available. Glass is made 100% from natural materials, or only natural materials. It's infinitely recyclable. It can always be recycled continuously, new or old. And we make brand new glass from recycled glass. In fact, we're very proud to say that on average, more than 50% of every bottle that actually comes from our production line and into the market is contained of recycled glass. So from that perspective, yes, we face some perceptions in the market, and definitely from a manufacturing perspective, it's our responsibility to continue to improve efficiencies, look for innovation and opportunities to reduce cost, and make sure that our packaging is competitively priced, in the market.
Thank you very much to Peter du Plessis, CEO of Isanti Glass. They mark 5 years in business. Congratulations on that. Very interesting to hear more about the glass industry. Now, as a proudly South African manufacturer, Isanti Glass is committed to producing high-quality glass packaging with a passion for innovation and a promise of excellence in glass. They deliver products that are local, responsible, and built for tomorrow. Choose Isanti Glass. Excellence you can see, impact you can trust.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Why was rain prayed for to begin with? Like, what was the understanding back in the day of the seasons of no rain and the seasons of rain?
When there's no rain, people, they feel like it's karma. They've done wrong. Now the Creator is angry at us. The ancestors are very angry with us. Now for them to have rain, they need to pull themselves together and gather in dancing, in prayer.
Hlanganisile Ngwenya, known as the medium lady.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
You've reached in his Renault Duster en route to Dullstrom. This journey is taking to try a sport far more boring than its name might suggest. Fly, fishing. He'll be in his Renault Duster, which he bought with 40,000 Rand trade-in assistance.
Leave it all behind in the new Renault Duster. With 40,000 Rand trade-in assistance. Offer exclusive to Renault Financial Services. Product of APSA. T's and C's apply.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for optometrists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Here's Chrissy.
Business Outsurance is the best insurer for my business. They have great premiums, wonderful service. I know without a doubt that Outsurance has my back, and we always get something out with Outsurance.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. 702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
In a presentation to the MD of our company, I was showing him an idea that I had, which he really enjoyed, and he asked me a question, and I responded with, "Hell yeah, baby." And he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and then I carried on, because there was no way to save that.
Yeah, thanks. Those are all very interesting things. And the question we were asking you a little bit earlier was, have you ever put out something or said something that, is more appropriate to someone like finished a call, the example we used, finished a call with the words, "love you," when in fact you were having a business call. Now, after 4 o'clock, we're going to be chatting to Jabulile Mbata, our EWN reporter. She's out in the areas of Westbury. I don't know if she's going to Coronationville as well. But she's got some insights into whether the water has been restored as was promised last week. And she's going to watch with a keen eye what happens when the executive mayor once again interacts with community members in that particular part of Johannesburg. The other thing we're going to be doing in the next half an hour also, very interesting study done by IG Nielsen, I think it is. Let me just make sure I give proper credit where credit is due. Nielsen IQ, I beg your pardon, it's called the State of the Retail Nation Report. And what they've found, I'm looking here at a piece by Nompilo Goba at Business Live. She's condensed this stuff with some interesting highlights. Sales in spaza shops, taverns, and township superettes jumped almost 15% in value and 16.4% in volume. That's compared to the same period last year. In contrast, franchise grocery stores, e-commerce platforms, 5% up in value, 2.1% up in terms of volume units sold. So I'm very interested to know what's happening there and what those trends indicate. We've got a great guest for that. Gigi Alcock is author of the book Carsonomics. He's an entrepreneur himself and a very, very keen observer of what's going on in the township economy and with small business in general. So just a couple of the things that are going to be coming up on the show. In the meanwhile, I wanted to get some advice from people who may know about trees and botany. I've driven out to Bryanston a couple of times now in recent weeks. Not a route I normally follow on Winnie Mandela Avenue, but various reasons of business took me down that road. And it's interesting because so often when I drive, and I doubt I'm unique in this way, I'm kind of looking at traffic and traffic lights and wondering about the time. But on the way back, work done, and I had a bit of time to get to 702, so I was fairly relaxed. I noticed there are absolutely beautiful trees on the center island down the middle of Winnie Mandela Drive. And I can be more precise about where I noticed this, somewhere between Peter Place and Ballyclare Drive. And it doesn't matter if you're going north or south, because as I said, it's right in the middle. Now, I don't know trees very well, but I'd love to know from somebody who does have an insight into that. What are those trees? Because they really are quite gorgeous, and judging from their shape and size and the thickness of the branches and so on, and their spread, they've been around for quite a while. And it got me thinking. I mean, one of the things Johannesburg does have across many stretches of the city is the benefits of some very careful and thoughtful planting to create a green environment. But anyway, if you know the trees and you know the stretch I'm talking about, do give me a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. The Madlanga Commission, I think, is closed now for the day. But Oren Singh with us after 5 with his take on everything that's been said and hopefully on what's still to come. It's 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Reserve Bank holds repo rate and meeting between Westbury residents and Joburg officials disrupted. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has voted to keep the repo rate unchanged at 7% following this week's meeting. This is the first pause since July in line with some market expectations. The central bank's 6-member MPC announced the latest decision today. Despite a good quarter with better than expected GDP growth and a resilient global economy, inflation expectations are likely to remain above the central bank's new preferred inflation target of 3% for the year. Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja
Overall, we expect headline inflation to average 3.4% this year and 3.6% next year before reverting to 3% during 2027. We assess the risks to the inflation outlook as balanced. Against this backdrop, the MPC decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 7%.
He says 4 members voted in favour to hold rates, while 2 others voted for a 25 basis point cut. The prime lending stands at 10.5%.
The reasoning of 2 members on why the rates should be cut is the same as the reasoning of the 4 members who felt that the rates must be kept the same. As you heard, we said we expressed preferences. And we deliberate, and eventually the decision was that we keep the rates the same.
Joburg Mayor Dada Morero has threatened to leave a meeting with residents from Westbury and surrounding areas after they disrupted an address by the city's water utility and Morero at Coronationville Hall this afternoon. Residents have expressed their frustration over no access to water. As the officials attempted to speak this afternoon, residents have heckled them and have been chanting, "We want water." The meeting has now been paused and police are monitoring the disruptions. It comes a week after the officials promised to restore water at full capacity today. However, that did not happen. Joburg Water's Nchabeni Mukwebo says their intervention efforts have not yielded desired outcomes.
Allow me to explain to you. So the area that we are facing most is the highline area, which we are not able to have sufficient pressure to push water to the highline area. So there are things that we are going to be doing, which we have started doing already to improve the situation.
In the courts, an attempt by the Umkhonto weSizwe Party to halt the Madlanga inquiry has failed in the Pretoria High Court. The party and its leader, former President Jacob Zuma, approached the court with an urgent bid to challenge the establishment of the commission. The MK party was also ready to argue against a decision by President Cyril Ramaphosa to suspend Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and appoint Professor Feroz Kachalia to the top post. The court has struck the matter from the roll for lack of urgency. Judge Ronald Talmay read the unanimous judgment on behalf of the bench.
The proverbial horse has indeed bolted. The Madlanga Commission commenced with its work yesterday. Mr. Mchunu was placed on leave of absence and Acting Minister Kachalia was appointed and has assumed office. We therefore conclude that the matter is not urgent.
Meanwhile, at the Commission, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has provided context on the arrest of crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo as he fights to have his bail conditions relaxed so he can return back to work. Khumalo and 6 others were arrested in July by members of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption on charges of fraud and corruption. This relates to the appointment of Dineo Mokwele into a senior position within crime intelligence without having any previous policing experience. Mkhwanazi is testifying testifying on day 2 of the Madlanga inquiry in Pretoria today. Arun Singh is there.
Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi alleges members of Parliament Fadel Adams and Diane Collar-Barnard abused their powers in interfering in matters relating to crime intelligence. He suggests Adams' move of registering cases of fraud and corruption in Cape Town and Soweto against crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo was a result of him being privy to secret information, and he abused his powers of being an MP to get hold of this. Mkhwanazi says the arrest of Khumalo saw the work of the Political Killings Task Team, who were assisting counterintelligence operations in Gauteng, come to a halt.
The arrest of Gerald Khumalo. When this arrest happens, it literally means this project must stop. This investigation of this organized crime must stop immediately because the people are arrested.
Khumalo is currently fighting to allow his bail conditions to be relaxed so he can return back to work. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
And political parties have questioned the value of the almost 100 G20 meetings held so far this year under South Africa's presidency, with the EFF saying it appears merely to be a tick-box exercise. While the EFF has bemoaned the choice of service providers and the apparent lack of benefit to black-owned businesses and disadvantaged groups, the MK party has demanded to know how many lasting jobs have been created. The planning for the final weeks of the event came under scrutiny in Parliament yesterday as it emerged that organisers are still short of 153 million rand to arrange the Leaders' Summit in November. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The MKP and the EFF both delivered harsh criticism for the International Relations Department about the tangible legacy of South Africa's G20 presidency. The MK party's Wesley Douglas said while his party was not anti the gathering, he suspected the economic impact of the year-long presidency to be minimal.
Our people can't eat communiques and they can't eat declarations. They can't live off the brochures.
But International Relations Chief Director Dave Malcolmson assured MPs that while there's uncertainty about how the US will carry on the G20 program next year, South Africa's presidency will conclude with an agenda for the future.
It would be better to not have an outcome if it means compromising to the point that we go backwards on key issues.
Meanwhile, International Relations Chief Financial Officer Hlengiwe Bengu said the presidency has approached 31 private companies to help fund the shortfall needed to conclude the G20 program. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Gold's trading at $3,635.73 an ounce. The rand's at 17.45 to the dollar, at 23.59 to the pound, at 20.47 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $67.99 a barrel.
Leaving Brakpan heading towards Boksburg, roadworks causing delays N17 westbound between Carnival City and Rondebold, while in Soweto, Protea Glen, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558, and in Devlin, roadworks also slowing down traffic heading into El Dorado Park. That's on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue.
In your sport, Sinesipho Dambile runs personal best to qualify for the World Championships 200-meter final. Mbegezeli Mbogazi and Chandray Campbell to miss the Under-20 FIFA World Cup. And Miguel Cardoso keen to bolster Mamelodi Sundowns' attack after Lucas Ribeiro's exit.
A look at your weather. A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. Tomorrow, Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 8 degrees and peak at highs of 28. Pretoria is at 10 and 29. Vereeniging's at 5, also reaching highs of 29 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has voted to keep the repo rate unchanged at 7% following this week's meeting.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive. It's 9 minutes past 4 on this Thursday in September. Almost at the end of the week. Hope you've had a good one so far. Still Friday to get done and dusted, and many of you, I'm sure, not quite done with Thursday. Anyway, hope it's been a good day. Hope it's been a decent week. We've got some interesting stuff coming up for you over the next half an hour or so. In a moment, we're going out to the community of Westbury. Executive Mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, is out there. We've got our reporter, EWN's Jabulile Mbato, who is keeping an eye on the taps and whether there's water in them, but is also keeping a close eye on the conversation between the mayor and the residents. That's coming up shortly. We'll talk to Gigi Alcock, expert on the township economy, author of the book Carsonomics. Some really interesting statistics suggesting a substantial surge in both the number of people and the volume of transactions that are happening in spaza shops, taverns, and township superettes. What's going on there, and how might that lead to some kind of shift in South African consumption patterns in these difficult times? Gigi Alcock with us at about 20 minutes past 4. We asked you a question about instances where you might have referred to somebody as lovey or whatever, forgetting that you were actually on a business call. Any other, I don't want to call them inappropriate, but they're just maybe quite fun mistakes where you momentarily forget who you're talking to and forget to direct your language through the appropriate channels. Let's put it that way. Call me with that on 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's find out what's happening out on the roads. This EWN Traffic Report is brought to you by South African Airways. From 4 November, fly South African Airways from Johannesburg to Gaborone twice daily. Book now at flysaa.com. Karabo Chale, Protea Glen. We had a few problems there. Remind me, are there roadworks around there?
Well, it looks like there's faulty traffic lights. The last time I drove past there, those traffic lights haven't been working for ages. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. Bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Protea Glen area. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Earlier on, we received a voice note regarding this issues on the same route, the N12. Karabo?
Hi, John. Darren here from Elders. You know what? I don't know. There seems to be something wrong on the road on the N12 south, well, call it west, around Elders. That bend that curves away from Viking, around Elders towards Protea Glen. Seems like something real serious because there's a long tail back there.
Yeah. Thanks for that voice note. Keep them coming on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. Still in the South Devland area, there's roadworks as well, slowing down traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue, while in Melrose, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is also due to roadworks on Glenhove Road between Oxford Road and the M1. In Boksburg, there's slow-moving traffic, also due to roadworks on the N17 westbound between Carnival City and Rondebold. Again, if you come across any other traffic issues, you can also SMS us on 31702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South African Airways is making it easier to travel this season with more flights to Lagos, Accra and Sao Paulo. Enjoy more choice, more convenience and the warm African hospitality you know from SAA. Book now at flysaa.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's get ourselves out to Westbury, where Executive Mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, is addressing the community. Now, roughly a week ago, he had given an undertaking that water would be flowing within 7 days. I think we're pretty much around that mark. So Jabulile Mbata, our EWN reporter, is taking a close look at the taps, hearing what the residents have to say and filling us in on what has come from the Executive Mayor so far on his second visit to this community in the southwest of Johannesburg in the past week. Jabulile, very good afternoon to you. First of all, the water situation. What are residents saying it's like? What have you seen?
Good afternoon, John. Mostly here in Westbury, the taps are dry. There are some households which have water that is dripping, and what you'll see is a lot of water trucks and some water tankers in the area. But, you know, what the residents are saying that some of the water tankers have been removed from the area. But as we've now heard from Mayor Dada Morero, his explanation of that is that, he believes there is supply to those areas, which is why they had to take those water tankers and move them to other areas. But one of the things that he was also just mentioning is that the water hasn't been fully restored as promised because it takes a little bit more time to bring it to these high-lying areas.
So did he give another deadline, another sort of line in the sand saying, okay, it's not happened as quickly as we would have liked, but the new date is, or is he perhaps avoiding that this time round?
So he hasn't given another deadline when they will fully restore the water, but he is saying that there will be more work done, very similar to the work they've already done, really, in the coming days. So he's just, promised them. And as you can imagine, the residents do not want to hear any of it. There's been a lot of disruptions with the residents standing up and protesting, holding their placards and just shouting that they want water now. They're tired of these conversations, and which is why his address is a bit delayed.
And what are they? I mean, you say he hasn't really had a chance to fully address the residents. I mean, any idea of what he might say in response? Because from what you're saying, I don't know what fully restored means, but if I'm hearing you correctly, Jabulile, you're saying some people still don't have any water at all unless they get it from tankers, but nothing coming out of the taps.
That's correct, John. So we actually earlier on went to one of the residents' houses. In fact, we went to a couple of houses and they would open the taps for us. There is no water coming out in the taps. And, the explanation by the mayor is that some areas or some households will have, little water supply. But of course, some, as we've seen ourselves, have no water at all. And, they are highly reliant on these water tankers and the water trucks that are making the rounds around here.
And just finally, Jabulile, obviously we'll keep in touch with you and there'll be updates, I'm sure, as all of this unfolds out in Westbury on the news bulletins. But the kind of size of the crowd gathering to engage with the mayor, is it a lot of people? Is it as many as were there last week?
There is quite a lot of people, maybe close to 100. And this time it's more organized. We're seeing, the organization Water Can. We've seen some members of the DA. We also have the organization Undoing Tax Abuse. So we're going to be trying to speak to them later to hear what their input is. But the majority of the people in attendance are residents.
Jabulile Mbata, EWN reporter out in Westbury. I mean, if you live in that sort of southwest part of Johannesburg, because it's not only Westbury affected. We had somebody from Emmarentia telling us that they've battled with water supply for quite a long time. Just give us your update. I mean, I would have thought that the benefits of any improvements made would spread beyond Westbury, Coronationville, Bosmont, Noordgesig communities adjoining, but also perhaps Sophiatown and Westdean and places moving back towards the center of the city would be implicated as well in either nothing improving or things perhaps getting better. So your feedback, please. We'd like to hear from you on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 18 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, a very interesting story caught my eye on the Business Live website. Nompilo Goba, who writes on consumer industries for those publications, has come up with something based on something called the State of the Retail Nation report, put together by Nielsen IQ. Now, what they're finding on the State of the Retail Nation report is that what they describe as traditional trade sales, referring to spaza shops, small township superettes, and even taverns, their sales have jumped almost 15% in value and more than 16% in volume. By contrast, what they call modern trade channels, I must admit, I wouldn't have thought they were modern because they've been around for a long time. Supermarket chains, franchise grocery stores, e-commerce platforms growing a great deal more slowly. So what's happening there? Because for me, the interest sparked is anything that suggests a shift, but also perhaps an equalizing to some degree of the spending of the consumer rand must be, I would have thought, a positive trend, but is it? Let's welcome Gigi Alcock. He's an entrepreneur, author of the book Carsonomics, and a keen observer of the township economy and small business in general. Mr. Alcock, welcome and thanks very much for your time. What do these numbers tell you?
Thank you, John. Please call me Gigi.
Sure.
So we've seen this happening for quite a while now, is this trend towards buying locally. So I think there's two parts to it, or a couple of parts to it. The first part is that, we have this perception of a spaza, a little hole in the wall kind of spot, but there's been a real transformation within informal traders, much more formalizing, and we have what I call a spazarette, a more supermarket type outlet growing in the township space, very well priced businesses. But they also enable people to not only buy branded products close, but they're able to save on things like a taxi fare, which is a substantial cost to township households having to travel to a shopping centre or formal place by taxi. And then when they come back, they pay for a penalty of a second seat for their groceries in their taxi. So by providing better priced and a wider range, these supermarket type spazas have been able to capitalize on getting more township people shopping closer. The other interesting change has been really the availability of non-cash payment in these places. So there's been quite a revolution of devices that used to sell airtime and electricity and bus tickets, where now they've added a card acceptance element. So now a township consumer can go to a tavern or a spaza shop and they can tap their card to pay for their groceries, or they can tap their card to do what they call cashback, which is to withdraw cash from the till. And this cashback means that suddenly a consumer doesn't have to travel to a shopping center, to an ATM or something like that to withdraw cash. They can literally walk down the road to an informal outlet, and they can tap and withdraw money, pay for their groceries, and so on. So I mean, this combination of these things has just meant that people are shopping closer to home. They don't have to stand in queues at a spazarette, whereas they stand in a queue at a formal retailer, especially at month end. There's a number of dynamics that have shifted people to local shopping, and I think you're seeing this in the numbers.
Everything you're saying, Gigi, sounds positive to me, and a couple of things that come to mind. The one is, obviously, if you've got commerce in a neighborhood, it's probably a better neighborhood in which to live. But secondly, if you have peaks and troughs in the larger economy, I would have thought these businesses are in many ways more crisis resistant than some of the big ones.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that the one thing is that what's happening is the ability to save money on things like taxi and other kind of inconveniences means that there's more disposable income that people can spend on groceries. It's just such a convenience. Instead of carrying your 5 liters of cooking oil and your 10 liters of 10 kgs of flour or maize meal on your head, you're able to literally walk down the road and so on. So there's a benefit of that. There's a benefit of money circulating more locally. But I think that the reality is that the informal economy has lower overheads, has lower elements like this. So we saw even over COVID the ability of the so-called informal economy to withstand these shocks is much better. They're more resilient. They're often operating from a residential premises as opposed to a commercial premises, and so on. So they're definitely more resilient. And we've kind of seen this emergence now of this, what I call gastronomic economy, in essence becoming more formalized, yet retaining a lot of its informality, which is its strength at the same time.
So, Gigi, I mean, I would have thought a natural instinct, and I'm not presuming this would be true of every entrepreneur, is to say, I'm doing really well, I need to get bigger. Is that something that's playing out within the trends that you've described? And would that bigger not necessarily mean, well, I need to get a bigger premises or maybe move to a mall, but rather I need duplications, almost a franchising of what I'm already doing really well? I mean, is there a new model perhaps taking shape, or is it just an old model getting stronger?
No, there's definitely a change, and I think we're seeing two parts. So first of all, there's a lot of people who are very happy with what they want and they don't want to change. But
yes,
we're seeing that a large number of township people in particular are starting to say, hey, hang on, there's real opportunities in this space, that there's actually business opportunities, and this is actually creating more entrance into the space. But then there's also a lot of people who are going, so I talk a lot about scale up, not startup. There's a lot of existing businesses who are going like, how can I scale up? How can I get bigger? We're finding that, you mentioned the Spaza shop was a little hole in the wall where they're knocking out the hole in the wall and they're doing open doors where people walk in and they're doing aisles and so on. We're even seeing outlets like Gorda outlets who do the fast food outlets starting to franchise. And starting to open multiple outlets with the same brand name and so on. So while this is kind of at its infancy, we're certainly seeing a growth. And I think it's been bred by this realization that it's not just a survivalist opportunity. You don't have a job, so therefore you're going to have an informal business. The reality is people are now saying, hey, this is actually a sector on its own. It represents opportunity, it represents a career, it represents my own business. And so there's been this shift from kind of seeing it as an alternative to formal employment in the absence of informal employment to actually saying, wow, this is a real economy, it's a space that I can do well in as a business person.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you, Gigi Alcock. So much more we could chat about. We'll have him back as this unfolds in different ways as a story entrepreneur, author of the book Carsonomics, and really insightful commentator on small business in general. Does any of what Gigi was saying describe realities around you? Maybe it's your own business reality and you might want to call in and tell us your story. Maybe you're involved with a family member, perhaps as a small investor, or just helping out as they grow their business. But everything I heard there, I have to say, and I don't know a lot about business, but everything I heard there sounds positive. To me, and what's intriguing is so often we hear government talking about what are we going to do about the small business sector, and I'm sure there are things they're doing that actually hit the mark, but it also seems to me that stuff unfolds anyway. Technology makes a difference. Transport arrangements or lack of become influential. Fascinating stuff indeed. Please, if you are playing in this space in some way, shape or form, I know you're probably busy with your customers, but if you can grab a minute, give us a call. I want to hear your story. 27 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, another traffic update for you because it is getting busy. This Eyewitness Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. I am in partnership with Karabo Chale, who's got the latest.
Well, John, in Ekurhuleni, Kempton Park, heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, there's an accident scene on the R24 eastbound before the R21 merge, causing huge delays all the way from Barbara Road. Melrose, we still have those roadworks causing heavy delays on Glenhove Road between Oxford and the M1. Also traveling through the Joburg CBD, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. M1 South between Killarney Bains and the Crown Interchange. Midrand, heading towards Centurion, expect some delays. N1 North from the Butler Interchange all the way to New Road, while in Protea Glen, traffic remains heavily backed up on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Devland roadworks slowing down traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
20 years ago, you were being driven to your matric dance, and 20 years ago, the Outsurance pointsmen were on the roads, easing traffic congestion. Whether you're an Outsurance client or not, we've all been getting something out. Show the Outsurance pointsmen some love this month and celebrate this 20th anniversary using #pointsmenlove. From Johannesburg, Tswana and Paarl to Stellenbosch, let's celebrate. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
EWN Business.
29 minutes past 4. Let's get the very latest business news now. Moteo Juaripe, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. So no relief then for consumers this time around. The South African Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has kept the repo rate unchanged at 7%, with the prime lending rate at 10.5%. The SARB says it's adjusted its growth forecast from 0.9% to 1.2% for the rest of the year. It was a bit of a split when it came to the decision. 4 out of 6 members voted to hold steady, while the other 2 wanted to cut rates by 25 basis points. The SARB saying they're worried about electricity prices pushing up inflation in the country. The latest NERSA adjustment pushing that price by 8%. Then not so good news also from the market. Drinks giant Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa saying it's in talks with the worker unions ahead of a company restructuring process. The firm, which employs over 7,000 workers, is set to let go of some 600 workers through this process. Now, according to Business Day, the Food and Allied Workers Union has received a Section 189 notice informing workers about the retrenchments. Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa says it's going through a restructuring process due to evolving industry dynamics. So in terms of South Africa's jobs numbers, are not good at all. Ahead of market close, the JSE still in positive territory, up 112 points. Industrials up 0.5%. Banking stocks are surging by over 0.5%, with mining shares down 1% this afternoon. Rand now at 17 Rand 35 after that SARB announcement. Still quite steady against the dollar this afternoon at 20 Rand 48 cents against the euro and 23 Rand 59 cents against the British pound. Price of gold, $3,640 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,385. Brent crude at $68.16 a barrel. More business in about an hour.
702 Drive, let's get the very latest eyewitness news, more from the Madlanga Commission and more stories besides that as well. Maki Mulapo standing by.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says the influence of alleged underworld boss Vusmusi Ket Matlala within law enforcement agencies should never be downplayed. Appearing before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today, Mkhwanazi has testified that some of Matlala's personal vehicles were registered and serviced by the city of Ekurhuleni. This was first revealed by Eyewitness News last year when it reported that Matlala's cars were equipped with blue lights illegally supplied by Ekurhuleni's police chief, Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. This was detailed in a classified report by police watchdog IPID, which Eyewitness News is in possession of. Mkhwanazi has told the Commission that Matlala deliberately sought to embed himself within law enforcement agencies.
The Mr. Matlala, Ket Matlala, Vusmus Ket Matlala, is one fellow that has been enjoying too much privilege from the law enforcement. And the typical example is that at least few of his vehicles were registered by the Deputy Chief of Police at Ekurhuleni, that is Major General Mkhwanazi.
Mkhwanazi says Matlala has a long history of infiltrating law enforcement agencies.
So the vehicles then belong on record. When you test them on the system, they reflect as if they belong to municipality. It did not end there, commissioners. He took these vehicles and he caused the municipality to take the blue lights, and he fitted those blue lights in these vehicles.
For live updates on the Commission, visit ewn.co.za or watch live proceedings on our YouTube channel. In the south of Johannesburg, the police's taxi violence task team has been roped in to assist with investigating the murder of Gauteng chairperson for the National Taxi Alliance. Thamsanqa Moyo was gunned down while driving along the Soweto highway this morning. Police say the suspects, who were traveling in a minibus taxi and a Toyota Yaris, fled the scene after firing several shots at Moyo's car, killing him on the spot. Spokesperson Mavela Masondo says while preliminary investigations are underway, the taxi violence task team will lead the probe.
The motive for the killing cannot be confirmed at this stage, although we suspect that it is related to the taxi violence, taking into account the victim is the chairperson of the taxi association.
At the same time on your roads, the Soweto Highway is now open to traffic after it was closed off as a result of the fatal shooting incident on the route today. Joburg Metro Police Department spokesperson Xolani Fihla says emergency teams that were on scene have now completed their work and the route is clear for traffic.
The road was previously closed off between the N1 and Imming Drive due to a fatal shooting incident. Law enforcement and emergency services personnel have completed their work on the scene, and the JMPD would like to thank motorists for their patience and cooperation while the road was closed.
In KwaZulu-Natal, the ANC in the eThekwini region has accused members of the Umkhonto weSizwe party of disrupting a by-election in the region and inciting violence. Yesterday, thousands of voters elected a new councillor for Ward 64 following the resignation of a DA councillor from the post. The ANC says it's reported violent incidents to the police and the IEC after a number of voters were allegedly intimidated at voting stations by MK party members. Meanwhile, the IEC has confirmed there was commotion among political parties but did not mention parties involved. ANC regional spokesperson Tinta Kibani.
The African National Congress in the eThekwini region strongly condemns the acts of violence, intimidation and gross violation of democratic principles by members of the MKP in the recent Ward 64 by-elections. Instead of respecting the will of the people, the MKP has chosen a route of violence, intimidation and lawlessness.
MK Party KZN Secretary Simpiwe Mpungose has denied the allegations.
No one from the MKP intimidated people. In fact, they are the masters of passing. If they pass people and lose, it shows you that if people do not even want to take incentives from them. So we reject the entire content of this statement as MKP.
And in Chad, President Mahamat Idris Deby has stripped two anti-government activists of their Chadian nationality. One of the activists has a blog in which he condemns the country's rule under Deby, and the other was an opponent of Deby's father, Idris Deby, who ruled Chad for more than 30 years until his death in 2021. President Deby has accused them of colluding with foreign powers. He issued the decree yesterday and has accused the two France-based activists of intelligence with foreign powers and activities incompatible with the status of a Chadian citizen. A look at your weather. Clear skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures will drop to overnight lows between 5 and 10 degrees and peak at highs between 28 and 29 degrees.
Accident scene in Kempton Park heading towards OR Tambo International Airport. That's on the R24 eastbound before the R21 merge, causing huge delays from Barbara Road. Alex also expect about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound between the Butlu Interchange and Van Buren, and in Midrand, slow-moving traffic N1 northbound between the Butlu Interchange and New Road.
The top story in Eyewitness News. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says the influence of alleged underworld boss Vusmusi Ket Madlanga within law enforcement agencies should never be downplayed.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
One of the criticisms that have been leveled against the KZN Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, was not going through the normal protocols.
To those that don't call him a whistleblower and call him a maverick or somebody who didn't follow protocol, well, damn them. This man has done something that was long, long overdue. If we were a failed state, if the capture of the states had been such that our police had been totally decimated, we wouldn't be in this position.
Chad Thomas, a crime expert.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Well, I don't know what you've got planned for the weekend, but how about this? The 12th edition of the DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is happening over the weekend from the 20th till the 21st of September. And if you go, you'll get to experience unbeatable vibes this Heritage Weekend at the Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. Now, listen to the music lineup just for a start. Saturday, the 20th, you can catch Don Toliver, Cuesta, Nkabi Zezwe, and many more. Then on Sunday, immerse yourself in the incredible performance from the legendary Lauryn Hill. This is her 25th anniversary tour. I don't know if you knew that. And the special guests are special indeed. Wycliffe Jean, YG, and Zion Marley. And then there are fantastic South African musicians making this a really special day. Lyra, Mandisi Giantis, Zoe, and others will take to the stage. So tickets are available at ticketmaster.co.za absolutely no reason for you to miss out on the DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star and proudly supported by 702. More info on deliciousfestival.com.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 In Brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
From the sands of our land, it all begins. A journey that turns raw potential into something extraordinary. Our strength isn't just in what we create, it's in the lives we transform along the way. Our craft, our heritage, in our hands. Asante Glass. Excellence in glass.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Dr. John, hi 702. There's nothing fascinating about this. We don't have anything. Pakistanis took all the spaza shops. Not even a single person complied during that black spaza shop funding application thing. And now it's quiet. You know, there's nothing we are benefiting out of this. We are just consumers. And these Pakistanis, yes, people do withdraw from them. I hear that thing is illegal, but it is what is happening right now. So I don't know what that guy is talking about, spaza shops and what. These shops are not ours anymore. And the government is quiet about this. They are busy chasing black foreigners, but they're not chasing Pakistanis away. So we are not getting anything here in Soweto anywhere. Pakistanis took, this economy is not ours anymore. So there's no local economy for blacks. There's nothing. We are just consumers. That's it. That's just what we are good at. Hoto from Naledi.
Good morning, John. Funny thing. So just recently started seeing my girlfriend. We've been seeing each other for 2 weeks now. We had not said the words I love you. One day, sometime 2-3 days ago, I'm leaving. So I give her a kiss and I say, okay, love you, bye. I realized after what I said, did I not see her face light up and glow? Long story short, it worked out for me this time. She felt the same way. Now we love each other and we can express it. Hector in Madrid.
Wonderful story, Hector. Thank you so much for that. And the strong response from Khotse responding to Gigi Alcock, saying that whatever growth there is in the township economy, there are no South Africans who have a piece of the action. Would you agree with that? Give us a ring on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 18 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Let's turn to cricket with Tolakele Mganga, Proteas women out in the Indian subcontinent. Over to you.
Thanks so much, John. And they'll be looking to seal their ODI series against Pakistan when they clash in the second game tomorrow. Marazan Cup and Tasman Brits both scored centuries in the first ODI as South Africa claimed an 8-wicket win. Brits has discussed the team's more aggressive approach with the bats under coach Mandla Mashimbi.
We have a target that we set with every power play that we try and achieve with maybe losing 1 or 2 wickets. So whenever you find yourself in that, power play or outside the power play or middle order, you kind of know what you need to do. We're definitely looking at running hard between the wickets. I think we underestimate that in ODI. If you can turn ones into twos, if you look again, it's an extra 30, 40 runs adding to the total. Instead of chasing the 280, you end up chasing, 320 for argument's sake, which can definitely change the game.
The Professional Footballers Association is in talks with Chelsea over the handling of Raheem Sterling and Alex Desasi. As things stand, the players are training away from the club's first team setup. That's after head coach Enzo Maresca made it clear they're not part of his plans. The players' union called on the PFA to intervene. That's to ensure that the pair have the platform to train at an optimum level despite not being involved with the senior team. On the pitch, match day 1 of the UEFA Champions League concludes this evening with 6 games scheduled. They include Barcelona away to Newcastle United. The Catalans will be without Lamine Yamal for a second game in a row, but Hansi Flick is confident that Marcus Rashford will be a capable replacement.
We know that Lamine is not playing today, maybe not on Sunday, but at the end we have a strong team. We have a strong team also on this position, and we have Marcus Rashford in our team, and it was like that because if someone from in front cannot play, he can play, and he showed it also on Sunday how good he is. And I also hope that he can show in England the same performance he did on Sunday.
And at the World Athletics Championships, Botswana's Busang Kebinatsipi is the world 400-meter champion after running a national record of 43.53 seconds. Sydney McLaughlin-Lovren ran the second fastest ever time of 47.78 seconds to win gold in the 400 meters, while for South Africa, Sinesipho Dambile ran a personal best of 19.97 seconds to finish third in the semi-final as he qualified for tomorrow's 200-meter final. And in the 800 meters, world indoor champion Prudo Shigodisho didn't finish due to an injury. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's get the very latest from out on the roads. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.coza. Let's find what moves you. Kempton Park, if you're heading in that direction, listen up. Karabo.
Yeah, that's if you're traveling towards OR Tambo International Airport, leaving the Edenvale Bedfordview area. There's an accident scene R24 eastbound before the R21 merge, causing huge delays all the way from Barbara Road. Also in Alex, peak hour traffic, expect about a 30-minute delay. Heading towards Germiston N3 South between the Baclue Interchange and Van Buren, while in Midrand, expect some delays. N1 North from the Baclue Interchange all the way to New Road. Melrose, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on Glenhove Road between Oxford and the M1. In Parktown, traffic congested. M1 South from Killarney Bains all the way to the double-decker section. There's also slow-moving traffic still in the Protea Glen area on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558, and in Devlin Roadworks, slowing down traffic heading into Aldo's. This is on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey, Jim, what's wrong? Hi, Bob. I'm just so confused. I'm trying to buy a car, and I don't know where to stop. Well, have you tried to... Cars.coza, cars.coza. Have you tried to... Sorry, we're trying to do an advert.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So here's an interesting story. Frank Eilert is a football fan, a fan of Manchester United. He originally from Oxford, now living in Spain. So last year in October, he said, I'm not going to cut my hair until the team wins 5 games in a row. Well, there are pictures of his hairdo, and it's grown quite substantially. He has found that something he thought was just going to be a way of making a joke amongst football fans, long-suffering fans of a team that has generally, over the many decades, been incredibly successful. But anyway, he hasn't cut his hair yet. It's going very well on Instagram now. He has more than 330,000 followers, and he said it's been going, quote, a lot longer than I ever expected. It's been an absolutely crazy journey. I never expected my hair or my following to be as big as it has become. So I'm just wondering, have you ever done anything like that where you've said, okay, I am not going to do X until Y happens? I mean, on a more serious note, family member of mine had 2 kids who were seriously unwell, and he said, okay, I'm not going to drink any alcohol until they're absolutely out of the woods. So it can be lighthearted, and they are out of the woods, by the way, and wonderfully so. But that was his way of saying, okay, until X happens, I'm not going to do Y. Karabo, have you ever embarked on a journey like that?
Not really, because I usually don't keep to that promise. That so no, but unfortunately, this guy will be mopping the floor with his hair very soon because I don't see Man United improving or winning anytime soon. But yeah, good luck to him. I wouldn't do such things like this because it's beyond my control. If it was me and trying to do something and I know it's in my control, maybe I'd attempt it, but I wouldn't hold my breath with Man United, eh?
Yeah. Tolakele, over to you. You don't have to talk about United, but have you set yourself other kinds of targets, not necessarily in a public way, and say, okay, until X has happened or been achieved, I'm not going to do any Y?
I try, but normally like by day 3, if I haven't found a rhythm, that's when I know that it's not going to work out.
Yes.
But with kind of like the superstitious part of it, I have a friend, Jade, on the run to the conference final last year. She wore the same Manchester United top every match day, and she was convinced that we were going to win because up until that final, we were doing really, really well.
Yes.
So then when we lost, I was like, so did you not wear the top? Who is it? Because now all of a sudden you look at all your superstitions and you're like, oh, it's my fault that the team lost. But it really has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, it is interesting the way we think that if we do something. I mean, I've had a lot of sports superstitions. One of them, I think I've mentioned this before, when certain South African players were batting, I wouldn't move. And I would not move. If I was in the stadium, I would not move. And if I was at home, I would not move. I would put all my food there, whatever I might need. I'd bring the kettle into the lounge.
What?
Yeah, I wouldn't leave the room. And
Did it work?
Oh, it absolutely worked.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't work every single time. But overall, it worked probably because they were very good at what they did and had zero to do with me. So anything you've said, okay, I am going to desist from or do more of until X happens. Maybe you might have had better luck so far than the Man United fan who is still waiting for 5 games in a row. It's 9 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, you may have heard of the expression, good fences make good neighbors. I've always wondered where that came from. Google tells me it's a poem by the American poet, I think from the early 1900s, Robert Frost, and it's called Mending Wall, and he's trying to persuade a neighbor that they really don't need a wall between his pine forest and the neighbor's pine forest and his apple orchard. And the poem goes, the relevant bit goes, my apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Well, why are we talking about this? Well, it's our weekly feature, which we call Your House, Your Home. And today's subject is boundary walls, boundary fences, planting trees, because I think there's a South African expression that expresses the same thing. Good fences make good neighbors. I believe the one kind of wall is called a stop nonsense. So there is a strong perception, and then there's security as well. But according to my guest, boundary problems can become quite tricky. And the law has to balance a number of rights. Your right to property as well, to enjoy your property, have safety, but your neighbor's rights come into it as well. So let's get into the potential complications of putting up a wall or a fence. And welcome to the show, Cor van Deventer, who's director at VDM Incorporated. A very good afternoon to you, and thanks very much for giving us your time, Cor. I mean, you've obviously looked at this very, very closely. What are the most common problems that arise? Is it people going over the boundary line, or is it more complex than that?
It's evening, John, or afternoon, evening. I think it's almost 5 o'clock, and good evening to your listeners. Yes, when I wrote that article, the disputes that normally arises, John, and in Johannesburg, we're probably the city with the most trees in the world. The most disputes arise most probably is from either overarching or overhanging branches that's growing into your neighbor's garden, or then with the pools that we have in Johannesburg is leaves. It's spring now, so it's all beautiful and green.
Yes.
When autumn pops up, and that's when the idea for the article came up, was that the leaves that are popping into your pool or falling into your pool, and whose responsibility is it then to either maintain the branches, cut the branches, and the damages that those leaves may cause. And the law is pretty clear on that to get to your answer.
Yes.
If the tree is on your side, it is your responsibility to maintain that tree, and any damages that it may cause is then your responsibility.
So no, please finish.
And the problem is then, can I just go and cut your tree or cut your branch off? The law says no. I first have to get your permission to trim your tree, even though what that sounds like, I still have to ask and request your permission to trim your tree. So it does become quite a sticky point and can cause quite a dispute between neighbors.
So let's bring the trees and the walls together, because my understanding, if you've got a wall or a fence between home A and home B, the owners of both properties have a shared responsibility to maintain the wall. However, let's bring roots into it. If the tree on my side is damaging the wall that we share responsibility for, does that shared responsibility shift in the law?
It shifts then, John, because the tree is in my yard. I have to maintain it, and any damage that it may cause the wall, then I have to repair it. In the article, I did mention that it's quite important that we never read our title deeds. We all buy property and rent property and do that. But in some title deeds, it even refers to that trees or bushes or shrubs may not be planted within 3 meters or 5 meters of boundaries. And it might also be servitudes in favor of the municipality. So go check where you plant your trees and what type of tree you're planting. And if that tree is causing damage from your side, that damage is for your account to repair, whether it be a wall, whether it be in servitude, or damage to a drain or anything like that.
What if you and a neighbor, in regard to walls, can't agree on how high the wall should be, or whether there should be an electric fence or something like that? Because I must admit, whenever we say walls and fences, people's minds, I think inexorably in South Africa, go to security. But what if I think, listen, we really need to invest in this. I want a higher level of protection on my side. If that is what I want, do I have to pay for it? And if my neighbor says no, because you're cutting out the light that I get in the mornings when I have coffee at that table in that part of my kitchen, do I have to say, okay, well, sorry, I'm doing it anyway, or would that be illegal?
My advice firstly would obviously be, John, just to discuss it with your neighbor and see if you can come to some sort of agreement. If not, and we've had this, it can become quite petty. We've had people just move their boundaries just into the boundary line and then only paint the one side and not render the other side of the wall. So if there's no agreement and it becomes a dispute, it can become petty. In most cases, we do find that neighbors agree. I would also then just check in terms of the building codes, John. It is quite important, the height of the wall. Just check if it's above a certain height. We have to have engineering reports and check the foundations and all of that. So if you do agree with your neighbor, then look at what the building code says, what height you are going to, and then whether you're putting up an electric fence, on what side it is, on what side the fence will be facing, and also that fence will then also comply with the regulations in terms of electric fencing, which changes year on year. We often have it where we're transferring properties and there is electric fencing certificate in place, but it is only valid for 2 years. And what we find every now and then, those regulations do change, and it becomes quite costly then either to rectify the fence in terms of the code, or they have to remove it because we cannot transfer without that electric fencing certificate. So check your boundary, check the line, discuss it with your neighbor, look at heights, look at what the title deed says, and also, if you're putting up a fence, what the regulations are for that. It does become quite complex.
So maybe we should change the expression, good neighbors make good fences. Cor van Deventer, thank you very much. Director at VDM Incorporated on this week's edition, I suppose I can call it, of Your House, Your Home. We do it every Thursday.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Why was rain prayed for to begin with? Like, what was the understanding back in the day of the seasons of no rain and the seasons of rain?
When there's no rain, people, they feel like it's karma. They've done wrong. Now the Creator is angry at us. The ancestors are very angry with us. Now for them to have rain, they need to pull themselves together and gather in dancing, in prayer.
Hlanganisile Ngwenya, known as the medium lady.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 1 kg D-Light 37% fat spread tub, $34.99. Save R8 with Spar Rewards. Or 1 kg Spar French, chili, garlic or chicken polony for $34.99 with Spar Rewards. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million rand in instant cash. Price is valid until 22 September 2025. While stocks last. T's and C's apply.
You've reached in his Renault Duster en route to Dullstrom. This journey is taking to try a sport far more boring than its name might suggest. Fly, fishing. He'll be in his Renault Duster, which he bought with 40,000 rand trade-in assistance.
Leave it all behind in the new Renault Duster. With 40,000 Rand trade-in assistance. Offer exclusive to Renault Financial Services. Product of APSA. T's and C's apply.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus My Business Assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
This is EWN.
Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's damning testimony fingers MPs and more senior officials, and yet another delay in restoring water to some parts of Joburg. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. From members of parliament, business people and even law enforcement officials, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has implicated several people during his testimony on the second day of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Sitting at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria today, Mkhwanazi identified people whom he believes were working as obstacles to the work conducted by Gauteng's counterintelligence operation members. The unit has been working alongside members of the Political Killings Task Team on several high-profile murder cases in the province. Arun Singh joins us live now from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College with an overview of Mkhwanazi's testimony today. Arun, a lot of crucial name-dropping in today's proceedings.
Indeed, Marky, we heard a number of crucial names being mentioned by Mkhwanazi. The first names was that of members of Parliament, Fadel Adams and Diane Collett-Barnard, claiming they gained access to classified crime intelligence info and made this information known to the public, which they shouldn't have. He also went on to identify a JMPD officer, Johannes Mogatle, as having links to businessman turned murder accused Katiso KT Molefe. He claims that Mogatle was running the number plates and identifying a police vehicle that had been staking out Molefe's home a day before his arrest.
He then go and test the vehicle to establish the ownership, and he goes and brief his friend or his associate to say, oh, this is a police vehicle, so don't worry about it.
Just to remind everyone, Molefe is the mastermind behind the murders of DJ Sambodi and DJ Vintos. I think the last name worth mentioning, Marky, was that of Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim. This is someone who Mkhwanazi says was requested by underworld figure Vuzimuzi Kat Matlala to assist in persuading Police Minister Senzo Mtunu from cancelling his 360 million rand police contract. For Eyewitness News, I'm Arun Singh reporting live from Pretoria.
Meanwhile, there are no more hurdles before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry after the Pretoria High Court ruled in favour of President Cyril Ramaphosa today in the MK Party's urgent court bid. A full bench heard arguments on whether the matter should be heard urgently and decided to strike it from the roll for lack of urgency. The MK Party approached the court in a bid to halt the commission, which kicked off yesterday. The party believes the inquiry is unconstitutional and is also challenging the appointment of Professor Feroz Kochalia as acting police minister. Khomotso Modise has more.
A full bench of the Pretoria High Court has found that the matter before it, brought by the MK Party, requires careful judicial consideration, and rushing it through the urgent court will not be in the interest of justice. The judgment was read by Judge Ronald Dolme.
At least the country can rest assured that something is indeed being done to protect the public from any further malfeasance.
She says there is substantial redress for the MK Party if the president's executive decision is found to be unlawful.
The court is empowered to grant a just and equitable remedy in due course.
Now that the matter has been struck from the urgent court roll, it's likely to be enrolled on the ordinary court roll, which may take months for it to be heard. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria High Court.
Joburg Water has committed to start building a new water pipeline next Monday to assist the main system supplying Westbury and surrounding areas. The utility, alongside Mayor Dada Morero, addressed frustrated residents who briefly disrupted the engagement in Coronationville this afternoon. The pipe, which will take up to 3 weeks to install, is set to draw water from the Crosby Reservoir, which has a high water pressure. The effort comes as the main water system supplying Westbury, Coronationville and surrounding areas has failed to build up enough supply to fully restore water to the area. Joburg Mayor Dada Morero.
The plan includes to undertake under-pressure drilling and laying an approximately 200 meters of pipeline to connect to these two pipes.
More than 100 Mercedes-Benz vehicles are being recalled by the National Consumer Commission due to safety concerns. In a statement released today, the Commission says the company has identified 2 faulty models, namely the 4EQE295 and 98GLC254. The NCC has highlighted that the steering wheels of the affected vehicles do not meet required specifications. Its motorists are urged the NCC is urging all affected consumers to contact their nearest Mercedes-Benz dealership. The Soweto Highway is now open to traffic following after it was closed as a result of a fatal shooting incident on the route today. The Gauteng National Taxi Alliance chairperson Tamsanga Moyo was shot and killed on the highway this morning while travelling alone. Police say the cause of his murder remains unclear at this stage. Joburg Metro Police Department spokesperson Xolani Fihla says emergency teams that were on the scene have now completed their work and the route is clear for traffic.
The road was previously closed off between the N1 and Imming Drive due to a fatal shooting incident. Law enforcement and emergency services personnel have completed their work on the scene, and the JMPD would like to thank motorists for their patience and cooperation while the road was closed.
And the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has taken a cautious approach to rates after making the first pause since the July meeting. The central bank's MPC held the repo rate at 7% in its latest decision announced today. While this in line with market expectations, the split in votes signals a tougher call for the MPC this time around. 4 members voted for a pause, with 2 others voting for another cut. Nokukanya Mtambo has the details.
Since September last year, the Reserve Bank's benchmark rate has been reduced by 125 basis points, including the cut seen in July. Governor Lesetja Kganyago says the central bank now wants to see how this is affecting the economy, how expectations evolve, and how inflation risks are resolved.
The forecast has raised easing gradually as inflation returns to the bottom end of the 3 to 6% target range. The MPC emphasizes that stabilizing inflation at 3% rather than 4.5% implies a lower, longer-term level for the policy rate.
Kganyago says the global economy remains resilient despite ongoing geopolitical tensions and trade disruptions. But longer-term interest rates have risen in several major economies, reflecting pressures from high and rising debt levels and persistent inflation risks. Nokukanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News.
Gold's trading at 3,600 $45.72 an ounce. The rand's at 17.36 to the dollar, at 23.53 to the pound, at 20.44 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $67.99 a barrel.
Accident scene, Kempton Park, R24 eastbound before the R21 merge, causing heavy delays all the way from Barbara Road. Edenvale traffic also sluggish on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange in Benoni, Boksburg. Expect some delays on Atlas Road approaching the N12.
In your sport, Sinesipho Dambile runs personal best to qualify for the World Championships 200-meter final. Megezeli Mbogazi and Chandray Campbell to miss the Under-20 FIFA World Cup. And Miguel Cardoso keen to bolster Mamelodi Sundowns' attack after Lucas Ribeiro's exit.
A look at your weather. A fine Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 8 degrees and peak at highs of 28. Pretoria is at 10 and 29. Vereeniging's at 5, also reaching highs of 29 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. From members of parliament, business people and even law enforcement officials, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has implicated several people during his testimony on the second day of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5. Good to have you with us on the show, and good to hear that Joburg Water is now going to run a pipe from the Crosby Reservoir to serve the communities of Westbury and presumably communities in the same area as well. It's good news, but if it'll take about a week to do and they're able to start on Monday, I cannot help asking this question. Why didn't you do it before? Because according to the people in that part of Joburg, this has been going on and on and on. Some of them say they haven't had reliable water for many, many years. And it raises a bigger question because sometimes there is criticism when communities take to the streets and cause a degree of disruption. Sometimes material is burnt on the streets or worse. But their counter-argument will be, well, until we did this, there was no talk of running this pipe, which will take a week to install. It's frustrating and puzzling, and I don't understand it, but maybe you do. Give me a call on 011-883-0702. In this half hour or so coming up, we're going to be focusing very much on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. We'll be chatting to Oren Singh, who's got some interesting observations on what came out on day 2 of Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. And then we'll talk to somebody criticized in that testimony. Member of Parliament Fadil Adams was accused by the General of having access to crime intelligence classified information that he shouldn't have had access to, and further of handling it recklessly. We'll chat to Fadil Adams at about 20 minutes past 5. Traffic updates will bring you the latest business, and as we get closer to 6 o'clock, we've got some fun and fine music for you. Looking forward to that as well.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic Report is brought to you by South African Airways. New flights from Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways. Book today at flysaa.com. Karabo Chale, very good afternoon to you. Kempton Park still tricky.
Yeah, speaking of catching a flight, if you are heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, allow for extra traveling time if you are coming from the Germiston, Bedfordview area. There's that accident scene in the Kempton Park area, R24 eastbound before the R21 merge, causing huge delays all the way from Barbara Road. Still in Ekurhuleni, traffic is heavily backed up in Edenvale. R24 westbound, that's heading towards Bedfordview between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. Benoni, Boksburg, slow-moving traffic. This is on Atlas Road approaching the N12, while in Houghton, traffic pressure on 11th Avenue. This is heading towards the M1. Boysons also accident scene. This is on the M1 southbound near Boysons Road, slowing down traffic all the way from the Crown Interchange in Soweto, Protea Glen. We still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558, and Devland roadworks causing some delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South African Airways is making it easier to travel this season with more flights to Lagos, Accra, and Sao Paulo. Enjoy more choice, more convenience, and the warm African hospitality you know from SAA. Book now at flysaa.com.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What is the bar for General Mkhwanazi in this case?
It's unlikely that it would be defamatory. The witness can pretty much say what he or she wants. But the job of the commission is to interrogate to see whether it's truthful or not. And that involves not only, as in a court of law, allowing the implicated party to come and give her or his version of the story.
Advocate Carol Steinberg, SC.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
It's the clarion call for the 26th Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. This year, plan your days wisely because we're pulling out all the stops. Jazz at Lincoln Center, featuring the legendary Wynton Marsalis, returns in triumph to the Sandton Convention Center on the 26th and 28th of September. But that's not all. Over 60 world-class acts light up 4 stages throughout the weekend. Actually, why choose? Treat yourself to the full experience. Grab all 3 days exclusively on Ticketmaster. Take me there.
Experience extraordinary with the new iPhone 17 from Vodacom, Mzansi's winning 5G network. More delightful, more durable, with a 6.3-inch ProMotion display, center stage front camera, and a ceramic shield that's 2 times more scratch resistant. Be among the first to get the all-new iPhone 17 plus a free extended warranty. Pre-order yours today. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Introducing the new Grande Cheeseburger from Nando's. Freshly toasted signature bun, juicy flame-grilled chicken breast fillet basted in your choice of peri-peri. Nando's mayo, crisp lettuce, tomato, red onion, the red one, not the normal one, gherkins, creamy cheddar cheese, and finished with that legendary peri-naise. A burger so big it literally took us almost 30 seconds to describe it, which is why you'll need both hands for it.
Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
What's in the war chest and what do you plan to see in the next year?
You've got to run a wonderfully kind of lean business in order to be able to run a business profitably at those kinds of very, very lean margins that we have there. So a very different business actually to how we run our businesses in South Africa.
Janet Murray, thank the Momentum Group CEO.
The Money Show
on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show is brought to you by ABSA CIB, proud host of the Macro and Risk Management Conference 2025. ABSA is a registered FSP. Your story matters.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's focus our attention now on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry into police corruption and interference in the criminal justice system. I think you all know pretty much what the commission is focused on. Day 2 of testimony from the man whose allegations back in the first week of July set this entire process in motion. Oren Singh, part of the EWN reporter team covering the commission, joins us now. Oren, a very good afternoon to you. Many things raised again by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. I was very struck by what he was saying about Vusimuzi Katmatlala and his relationship with the Ekurhuleni Metro government. Sounded like pretty startling stuff to me. What did he say?
Yeah, John, I think this is something that came out quite strong towards the end, sort of painting the links or showing the links between Vusimuzi Katmatlala and the deputy chief of EMPD, that is Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi himself referring to him as Major General Mkhwanazi, the head of EMPD, but he's in fact Brigadier. He claims that Brigadier Mkhwanazi had a very jovial relationship and cordial relationship with Vusi Musi Cat Matlala, and that he allowed or registered a number of Vusi Musi Cat Matlala's vehicles to EMPD and under the city of Ekurhuleni, and also fitted them with blue lights. And this sort of allowed Matlala to move around the city unannounced, and allowed him to kind of move under the radar with these blue lights in his vehicle and avoid any sort of stop and searches. But I think it must be noted, John, with that said, this is yet again something that's not new. While it may be new to people hearing it for the first time, I must highlight that the media have been, and specifically News 24, has been working on these cases for a number of years. They had even written an article about this blue light saga and Vusi Musi Cat Matlala back in 2023, February 2023. So these are some of the things that have been out and exposed by the media that we're finally seeing some sort of light shed on from a law enforcement perspective. But that's sort of some of the testimony that he delivered today.
So in examination, I know that he's being led through his own evidence, so there isn't necessarily detailed cross-examination. But was anything asked and offered by the General Orrin about whether he raised this with anybody, whether he tried to have action taken in this regard? Your point taken has been in the media, but it's pretty startling stuff nonetheless.
I think the main thing, and this is something Alpha Ramashwana reported on last year as well, the main thing that this whole saga around EMPD and Vusi Musi Cat Matlala's relationship with Brigadier Mkhwanazi is contained in a confidential IPID report. Now, while we may have seen that report, or Alpha had sight of that report, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi suggests that it's classified information and will need to be declassified. But within that IPID report, there are recommendations that needed to have been acted on, and those recommendations up until now have not even seen the light of day. So I think it's important for him to have brought that up, highlighted, and shown us to what extent Vusi Musi Cat Matlala's reign within Gauteng actually goes.
Thanks very much, Orrin Singh. Orrin back in Pretoria tomorrow, back on 7:02. Probably some more updates throughout the course of the evening. But the Commission, I think, the same start time tomorrow of 9:30. 9:30 till 4 o'clock with breaks for lunch and tea. But there's a lot of stuff coming out. It's 20 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Well, one of the other things dealt with by General Mkhwanazi today that has to some degree stirred the pot has been comments he made about two members of parliament. One of them was the DA MP, Diane Kohler-Barnard, and we'll share with you a statement that she's issued. The other was dealing with the member of parliament from the National Coloured Congress, Fadil Adams. He joins us in a moment, but let's just first give you at least a small taste of what the General had to say about Mr. Adams.
Mr. Adams further claims that there's an abuse of the secret fund account. He does not have an oversight. He doesn't even know the budget allocated because he's not part of that committee. But he claims here that there's an abuse of the secret fund account at Crime Intelligence. So his accusation, his claims, allegation is that this secret fund account, these funds are being channeled to places where they're not supposed to go, including the procurement of vehicles for a political task team in KwaZulu-Natal. We demonstrated yesterday about the budgetary expenditure and everything from the team, where it comes from. But he claims here that this money from the secret fund account is used to purchase vehicles of the political task team. Surely, he, as a complainant, he would provide proof for this. I like to believe that as a complainant, he should be able to demonstrate that he has an evidence that this money was spent here for this resource.
Right. So that is part of what General Mkhwanazi had to say about Fadil Adams. Let's welcome him to 702 Drive, MP, as I said, for the National Coloured Congress. Mr. Adams, a very good afternoon to you. I'm sure you have in your mind a much fuller version of what the General had to say. What is your response? He talks about you having access to information that you should not have had access to, and then criticizes you for the reckless use of that. Your response. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you and all your listeners. Mkhwanazi must go and see a psychologist. Information was slipped under my office door. I had no way of verifying it, but it looked suspicious. And what I did was I took it to the South African Police Services and I opened the case docket and I said, you might want to investigate this, and I walked away. What did the General want me to do? Hide it? Throw it away? He says I went public with it. He said it. I did not go public with it. I did the responsible thing. I think we're tired of watching our tax money being abused. This, General Mkhwanazi is asking me to do with this, the same thing that SAPS did with Pala Pala. They buried it. I think as South Africans, we've had enough. I live on the Cape Flats, sir. A lack of police resources. And Mkhwanazi is asking me to look the other way, while paperwork in front of me suggests that those very same resources that we're dying for a lack of are being abused by a handful of people. But here's the question Mkhwanazi must answer. As the police commissioner for KZN, why is he so invested in a crime that is alleged to have happened in Pretoria? Surely I would have assumed that the provincial commissioner for Gauteng would be the person speaking up. Is it because General Khumalo, who appears to be in the center of all of this, was a former head of the political killing stars team? He's talking about me making allegations about cause. Why doesn't he tell us what has been spent on accommodation for this political killing stars team? And why it's always been 4- and 5-star accommodation everywhere they go? What is the purpose of the stars team, and what is the cost to taxpayers, and what is the benefit to us? Because let me tell you something. A fine young man, a police sergeant called Bongi Nkosi Dlamini, is languishing in Westbury prison. He was arrested and investigated by the same political killing stars team. He was charged in front of a magistrate, and he was convicted with a case law that does not exist. This is a good policeman, and he makes allegations against that same General Khumalo. Now you tell me, as a South African, as a member of parliament, as a father, am I supposed to hide this?
So, Mr. Adams, can I ask you, the documents that were put under your door, were they documents that had that were official, or did somebody slip under your door information that they had processed and, can I call it paraphrased? I mean, give us a sense of what these documents were.
Okay, now you got to work with me. Remember, this case is sub judice.
Yes.
So there's only so much I can say. But someone had gone through a lot of trouble to gather information. Someone did.
Yes.
I don't know who that person is.
But were these original documents, or was it?
They appeared to be copies, sir. No, they appeared to be copies.
Okay, but what I'm trying to understand, were they copies of original documents? In other words, it wasn't in the form of a letter where someone said, you need to know about this and that. They were documents that, for example, might refer to transactions.
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially. Now, my question again, in the middle of all this, people seem to be more interested in the source than the crime, the alleged crime. I don't know where we're going in this country, and I don't know who made General Mkhwanazi the moral authority on what's right and what's wrong. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I know, he must still answer for those Louis Vuitton bags that he allegedly received from a SAPS a vendor. How is this man our moral compass all of a sudden? How is he the savior of this country?
So, can I ask you, Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I mean, will you direct, I'm sure the commission will contact you and say this has been said. You have an opportunity to respond. Do you plan to preempt that and say, listen, I'm keen, I'm ready, and, when can I have a date?
That email was sent at 3 o'clock this afternoon, sir. We demand an opportunity to come to the Commission.
Fadil Adams, thank you, Member of Parliament for the National Coloured Congress. Now, I do have a statement from Diane Kohler-Barnard. I'm going to read as much of it as I can, but I will, when I'm paraphrasing, I will tell you I'm paraphrasing. When I'm quoting directly, I'll make that absolutely clear. So she says the statement is being issued to categorically and in the strongest possible terms refute the outrageous, defamatory, and entirely baseless allegations made against me by the Provincial Police Commissioner of KZN, suggesting my involvement in a criminal syndicate and the leaking of sensitive information. That is in quotes. She says that she wrote in February of this year to the Inspector General of Intelligence requesting an investigation, quote, now, into the dubious purchases of 2 properties by Crime Intelligence. This request was a direct response to serious concerns already in the public domain. She says that her inquiries confirmed that there was no proper approach made to the Minister of Public Works for these properties and says this is a fundamental legal requirement. And then I'm quoting her, the public report suggested the purchases were approved internally by high-ranking SAPS Crime Intelligence members, bypassing proper procedure and raising significant red flags. She then goes into the history of the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. She's a member of that. She says it took a full year from the time of the national election to operationalize. And this is quotes again. It was months before that the committee was formally constituted that I wrote to the Inspector General. The claims were that so I've dealt with that. She says she served as a member of the JSE during the last parliamentary term. She makes clear that no member may share anything spoken of within that committee. But she says, as such, I may not speak of the outcome of that investigation, which I asked the Inspector General to do, given that the report was presented to the committee. And then she finishes off by saying that should there be a Googling of her statement, a few minutes of research on Google would have shown that the initial reports of the 2 properties appeared in the media and that I reacted to those reports. And all of this happened, she says, 2 months before the JS Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence was actually sworn in. So Diane Kohler-Barnard making those points. These debates and these investigations, I'm sure, will continue. 29 minutes past 5. Let's get the latest business news.
EWN Business.
Mutayo Khwaripe, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Looking at this particular market close, a very, very tough one for the JSE. Mining shares down close to 1%, but banking stocks and industrials teaming up to push up the local boss. Some of the biggest winners included Valterra, the platinum group company, up 5%. Mr. Price up more than 3%, with Tiger Brands up 2.7%. Some losses for MTN Group, they were down 3%. The paper and packaging company Sappi down more than 7%, with Old Mutual and Spar down more than 2.5% respectively. The rand still firm after the SARB decided to leave rates unchanged at 17 Rand 36 against the US dollar, 20 Rand 44 cents against the euro, and at 23 Rand 52 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,638 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,380. Brent crude at $67.53 a barrel. On the Money Show, we're going to be talking about a concerning news coming through from drinks giant Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa. They're saying they're going to cut around 600 jobs. They've already talked to worker unions around the retrenchments. We'll be getting some insight then from Andrew Levy, Labour analyst, and Zanele Sabela, COSATU national spokesperson, about that news. And then, of course, we'll dissect what the SARB had to say about, firstly, South Africa's economy and interest rates going forward. We'll have a representative from The Economist as well as a bond originator and a labor representative. Dr. Ghulam Balim, chief economist at Standard Bank, Reece Dyer, the CEO of Uber Group, and Zwelinze Babavi, the general secretary of the South African Federation of Trade Unions. Later on the show, we look at transformation in the banking sector, not in terms of leadership, but also just the sector moving forward using technology. August Claude Ngwetsop, financial services sector leader at KPMG Southern Africa, talks to us. All that and more on The Money Show after 6.
Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news right here on 702 Drive. It's 27 minutes to 6 and Maki Molapo standing by.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has exposed how alleged underworld boss Vusmusi Cat Madlanga was found with a cell phone in prison. Madlanga was caught with the device during a raid at his Jose Mampuru Correctional Facility cell more than 2 months ago. He was detained in April for the attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend and actress Debu Khotabejani. Testifying before the Madlanga Commission today, Mkhwanazi alleged the phone was smuggled into the prison by correctional services officials.
The commissioner called me because after watching the address, he felt that he must send officials, the credible correctional service officials, to go and inspect this detained person, Ket Matlala, and to go and inspect his cell and search him. It is when they did that, on the direction of the Commissioner of Correctional Service, that they found the cell phone.
Mkhwanazi says the incident has sparked serious concerns about possible corruption within the Correctional Services Department.
So the commissioner then contacted me directly and he said he himself, as a senior officer within the criminal justice system, within law enforcement, he doesn't have much trust on what's happening now in this area. And he says, for sure, someone brought in this cell phone and facilitated for this cell phone to get to the suspect or the detained person inside.
In the south of Johannesburg, Gauteng police have launched a manhunt after Taxi Association chairperson Tamsanga Moyo was fatally shot in Diepkloof in Soweto today. According to police, the 58-year-old was attacked at around 9:30 this morning on the Soweto highway when his vehicle was blocked by 2 cars. Suspects then opened fire, fatally wounding him. Moyo was certified dead at the scene. Police say the motive for the killing has not been confirmed, but taxi violence is being probed as a possibility. Police spokesperson Mavela Masondo is urging anyone with information to come forward.
Police are appealing to anyone who might have information that can help in the investigation or assist in the apprehension of the suspects to please call the nearest police station or call Crime Stop on 08600 10111.
Meanwhile, the Soweto highway is now open to traffic after it was closed as a result of a fatal shooting incident on the route. The DA in Gauteng is calling for an immediate intervention from the Provincial Health Department to address what it says are severe delays in biopsy processing at the Joburg Anatomical Pathology Laboratory. The party has reported that some patients have had to wait up to 3 months for biopsy results, which was previously available within weeks. The Joburg Laboratory, which serves hospitals and clinics across the city, the East and West Rand, including the Vaal, is currently overwhelmed with 12,000 unprocessed samples, some dating back to 2024. The party further noted that the lab has a massive staff shortage, including a significant reduction in the number of pathologists. It says the situation has caused widespread anxiety for cancer patients as the prolonged wait means treatment is delayed. Party Shadow MEC Jack Bloom.
The DA is deeply alarmed at the massive backlogs for processing cancer biopsies at the Johannesburg laboratory. We call on the Health MEC to intervene. We'll be asking questions in Parliament because people are dying because samples for breast cancer, for instance, are taking weeks to return, and this prejudices the survival chances of cancer patients.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his troops have reclaimed 160 square kilometers of land near the eastern part of the country where Russia pierced Ukraine's defenses in August. Zelensky met troops today saying the warriors are liberating the country. He added that since the start of the operation, 160 square kilometers and 7 settlements have been reclaimed. Zelensky did not say when Ukraine made the gains, but says the counter-offensive is still going on and that Russia had suffered thousands of losses. Russia launched its invasion in February 2022 and its forces have been grinding across eastern Ukraine for months, trying to take control of the several regions. A look at your weather. A fine Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures will drop to overnight lows between 5 and 10 degrees and peak at alternating highs of 28 and 29 degrees.
Kempton Park accident scene that's on the R24 eastbound near the R21 merge, causing huge delays heading towards OR Tambo International Airport. Edenville also traveling towards Bedfordview. Traffic heavily backed up R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange, and in Houghton there's traffic pressure on 11th Avenue approaching the M1.
The top story in Eyewitness News. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has exposed how alleged underworld boss Wusmusi Cat Madlanga was found with a cell phone in prison.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Why was rain prayed for to begin with? Like, what was the understanding back in the day of the seasons of no rain and the seasons of rain?
When there's no rain, people, they feel like it's karma. They've done wrong. Now the Creator is angry at us. The ancestors are very angry with us. Now for them to have rain, they need to pull themselves together and gather in dancing, in prayer.
Hlanganisile Ngwenya, known as the medium lady.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
Let's walk the talk.
For over a decade, Aluma Capital has had one simple mission: to help you secure the financial future you deserve. Over the past 10 years, they've empowered thousands of clients with personalized strategies, expert advice, and impressive returns of up to 13.2%. Whether it's growing wealth, securing retirement, or planning for the unexpected, Aluma Capital is there every step of the way. Visit aluma.co.za today. Aluma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
This master doesn't just start. It wakes up. Anticipation. The wheel settles into your hands. Seat and mirrors adjust. You didn't ask. It just knew. Then the 3.3-liter turbo diesel clears its throat. And suddenly, you're flying, weaving through sunlight. Goosebumps on your commute. The feeling will find you in the Mazda CX-60. Wonder awaits.
Naked people are great dancers. Because naked people spend less time on insurance admin, they have more time to perfect their moves. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns this weekend at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. Getting there is easy. Take the Gautrain to Midrand Station and hop on the free shuttle to the festival. Shuttles run all day, with the last leaving at 11 p.m. on Saturday and 10 p.m. on Sunday. Gautrain will also run extended late-night services to get you home safely. Standard fares and rules apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, 702. Mr. Adams is so jumpy and then he's so defensive. I don't know why, because all he has to do is just to put a proof to what he said. So, it's a bit surprising that he's so jumpy and so he's acting very suspicious. And I'm telling you, Mr. Colored Congress, the proposal dance.
How's this, John? Yeah, listening to that recent interview with Mr. Adams, yeah, I have to also wonder why Mkhwanazi is leading with Diana Collar Barnard and with this person. I hope I'm wrong, but it just feels like this case or this inquiry is going to turn on Mkhwanazi quite quickly. I mean, what John O'Sullivan was mentioning, issues with Mkhwanazi and this political Killings Task Team. So, yeah, I think he made relevant points, Mr. Adams, around, why is Mr. Mkhwanazi now the moral, the messiah here. So, yeah, very good points.
Hi, Dr. John, Pat here. Yeah, the guy sounds very angry. I don't know if scary at the same time. Out of the list that are coming out, I guess nobody will say, I accept, I did this, I did that, and it was wrong. But what is nice is they are going to be tried in the commission as well. So he's one of them who will be telling the nation or the country how did he obtain that information and who got it for him, because he wasn't supposed, as per General Mkonazi. So he can try if he wants, but unfortunately his day is coming as well.
Well, he would say, fortunately, his day is coming because this has been said about him and he wants to have his say in return. Can I just say this in response to all three of those messages? Marathons are not won in the first 2 kilometers. This is very, very early in the piece. There's a lot more that we're going to hear. There's a lot more that we're going to debate, and there's going to be a huge amount more to digest and explore and interrogate. So, yeah. Early days. Marathons, by the way, are 42.2 kilometers, the standard marathon. And maybe I should say the Comrades Marathon. Let's make it longer, because this is a long process, is not won in the first 2Ks. By the way, I don't think he sounded jumpy or nervous. I think he just sounded forceful and angry, which, by the way, doesn't make him right. But I think this kind of deducing, well, he sounded nervous and therefore he must have done something wrong, might be a conclusion reached too soon. 17 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Mganga, the Proteas women. Big cricket match tomorrow against Pakistan. What are they saying?
Well, John, they'll have an opportunity to boost their confidence ahead of the World Cup. That's with the series win over Pakistan. Having won the first ODI by 8 wickets, Tasman Britt says tomorrow's second game offers them a perfect chance to fine-tune their preparations.
It's great that we're having a series like this before the World Cup, but I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be in a good space. You want confidence, whether you're bowler or batter, or maybe just the team in general. Like Kapi and I, when we made that record-breaking partnership, to be able to actually tick that and see like, okay, we are capable of doing that and maybe feeding that off to the middle order and what is expected. I just think in general, it's, ticking extra boxes where it's not just your average, you win the game, but it's how do you win the game.
Match day 1 of the UEFA Champions League concludes this evening with 6 games scheduled, including Manchester City's clash with Napoli. Antonio Conte has lauded Pep Guardiola for the work he's done with the citizens.
Pep to stay for 10 years in the same club is incredible. It means that there is a great synergy, great energy between him and the club and the players. But we are talking about, in my opinion, the best coach in the world, yes.
Barcelona are away to Newcastle, and Eddie Howe has discussed if the Magpies' quest has been made easier by the absence of Lamine Yamal.
For me, it's a shame he's not playing. Disappointed that we don't get to see him at his best and playing in the game. But whoever they play, they've got real pace in wide areas. We know that. They've got international players that will challenge us in different ways. So I think structurally our team performance has got to be really strong. I think we've got to defend well in wide areas. So yeah, we're looking forward to that battle.
Tennis legend Bjorn Borg says he takes life day by day and year by year after being diagnosed with extremely aggressive prostate cancer. The 69-year-old announced the news in the final chapter of his autobiography as he revealed that the disease was at its most advanced stage. The former world number 1 has won 11 Grand Slam titles, including 5 successive Wimbledons, before he unexpectedly retired at the age of 25. At the same time, former Kenyan Davis Cup player Ino Polo has been appointed as the new chief executive of the ATP. The former world number 574 succeeds Massimo Cavelli with immediate effect. That's after the Italian stepped down in June following more than 5 years in the role. Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 14 minutes to 6, this Eyewitness Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Kempton Park remains difficult. How difficult? Let's find out with Karabo Chale.
Sure, John. So if you are leaving Bedfordview, Germiston, hoping to catch a flight at OR Tambo International Airport, please allow for extra traveling time. We're still dealing with that accident scene in the Kempton Park area. R24 eastbound before the R21 merge, still causing huge delays all the way from Barbara Road. Still in Ekurhuleni, there's traffic pressure in Edenville. R24 westbound, this is between Edenville Road and the Giluli's interchange, while in Melrose, traffic remains heavily backed up, but this is on Glenove Road between Oxford and the M1 due to roadworks. Also in Houghton, traffic pressure on 11th Avenue. This is approaching the M1. We still have bumper-to-bumper traffic in Protea Glen, Soweto on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Devland, roadworks slowing down traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12 minutes to 6. Just a quick one on Fadil Adams, Libuwania. Anyway, let me read it. It says, people like Fadil Adams should be in our parliament. He is a member of parliament for the National Coloured Congress. Let's get into some music now. Karabo Chale, you something occurred to you about singers and artists from whom we won't be hearing anything new and anything more. Take us through that.
So what prompted this talker is today on this day in 1970, Jimi Hendrix, the great guitarist, passed on at the young age of 27. So it got me thinking, those young artists that left us too soon, they could be releasing great hits right now, like your Tupac, Biggie, and I just reflected on one of my favorite South African rappers, Ricky Rick, and imagine what he would be doing right now. And it's unfortunate I've never seen him perform on stage. That would have been great. So yeah, I was just thinking, who is that one artist that's no longer with us, and you think if they were still alive, they'll still be relevant and giving us great hits?
So just a quick one on Jimi Hendrix. I don't know if you know this and whether our listeners do, but there are an extraordinary number of musicians who passed away at that age.
Sheesh.
And I'll just read you the list, not exhaustively. Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse,
Yes.
blues legend Robert Johnson, Jim Morrison of The Doors, Brian Jones, Kurt Cobain,
Yes.
Jimi Hendrix. It is an extensive list. Let's get back to Ricky Rick. You're going to play us a track. And I suppose we're going to ask people not only who do you miss the most, but clearly a favorite song that comes to mind. What's yours?
Ricky Rick, Bozonke. Saban.
Let's take a listen and enjoy. And while you're listening and enjoying, think of artists who are not with us anymore, favorite songs, and what you would want them to do if they could just come back for one song.
Everything I do, they wanna do. They wanna do. Everything I say, they wanna say. They wanna say. Everything I do, they wanna do. They wanna do. Everything I say, they wanna say. They wanna say. Ungakhuluma ubhontshisi. Mina I'm double HP and thrombus. Nafukwa party is on 6. I skis or the miss, no best, we don't mix. We don't mix, I'm up to my old tricks. Bazil, Sizi lunch esakumzil. With Betty's, splumming no pell, no pumzil. Bafil, I can hear you, ngisazokzip. Imali yakho isazonciphe yaman. Shamswenko waman. Turn up young and bella kwaman. Everything I do, they wanna do.
An artist much loved and much missed, Ricky Rick. Who's the person that you miss the most? What was the song that you absolutely loved about them? Send that to us and we'll see if we can stir up some memories. And if they were to come back and do one thing, maybe you've got an idea of what musically you would want them to do. 072 702 1702.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
One of the criticisms that have been leveled against the KZN Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Madlanga was not going through the normal protocols.
To those that don't call him a whistleblower and call him a maverick or somebody who didn't follow protocol, well, damn them. This man has done something that was long, long overdue. If we were a failed state, if the capture of the states had been such that our police had been totally decimated, we wouldn't be in this position.
Chad Thomas, a crime expert.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9
on 702.
10 years ago, Illuma Capital set out with one goal: to help people like you build a legacy for tomorrow. Through personalized strategies and unwavering dedication, we've been instrumental in helping our clients achieve their financial dreams, whether it's securing retirement, growing wealth, or planning for the unexpected. For a decade, we've been trusted to guide your financial journey with expertise and care. Visit illuma.co.za today. Illuma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
People are talking, everybody's talking, and they're saying it's time to make insurance great again. They said our low premiums were fake news. Wrong. We're putting customers first. We're gonna drain the insurance swamp. It's full of hidden fees. But when we clean it up, believe me, it's gonna be huge.
This message has absolutely nothing to do with the US government. It's paid for by the King of Insurance, who's making insurance great again. Get a quote now. It'll be the best decision, people are saying, ever. King Price is a licensed FSP. No fake news, just like her insurance.
One festival, endless flavor, and 2 unforgettable days of timeless music. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns on 20 and 21 September at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. On Saturday, the stage erupts with Don Toliver, Questa, and Nkabi Zezwe. Then on Sunday, experience the legendary Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Lyra, and more. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi John, hey, it's Papa here from Lenesia. Oh, Lebo Matosa. Hey, that lady. Yeah. May his soul rest in peace, Lebo Matosa.
Hey John. So my artist has to be Fela Kuti. That guy was a legend. Yeah, he was a legend. And the song would be Lady.
Hi John, Andre here from Edenville. Listen, Michael Jackson as well. Well, maybe not as young as the others, but he definitely could have still gone on. But one of my favorites, and I love her music, is Amy Winehouse, and one that always comes to mind is Back to Black.
Amy Winehouse, Back to Black, her second and final studio album, won her herself a Grammy for that. We are reflecting on artists dead too soon, gone too soon, but songs that were absolute favorites and how much we wish they would come back. This from V, best favorite SA artist who passed, and their song, Brenda Fassie, Weekend Special.
You don't have a chance
Gone at the age of 39, but certainly not forgotten with songs like that. Brenda Fassie passed away in the year 2004. Ingatani sends me this. TK also passed on at the age of 27, part of the 27-year-old passing away artist. How Do You Feel is one of her well-known songs. A couple of other recollections. Marek, Jim Morrison and the Doors, Riders on the Storm. What else? What have we got? We've got quite a few. Tabang here for me. It has to be Lane Stale of Alice in Chains and Chris Cornell of Sound Garden. There can never be another Lane and Chris Grunge, rock gods of vocals. It's sad that I will never hear them again. 0727021702. That's where we get your voice notes.
Hi guys, Tabo Mukapela here in the Val. Lucky Dube, my son, I'm sorry. If you can play that one, man, I'll really appreciate it.
Lucky Dube, son of Ermelo, tragically gunned down at the age of 43 back in 2007. Bringing us to an end of 702 Drive today. From me, John Perlman, and the rest of the team, have a great Thursday. Good night.
It's the same as the blood in me.
And now, The Money Show with Moteo Paripe.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Krotus is brought to you by ABSA CIB, proud host of the Macro and Risk Management Conference 2025. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.